to Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from Central California with your hosts Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas. Broadcasting video worldwide at ParanormalCentral.net and broadcasting audio on the Dark Matter Network at ArtBell.com. Are you ready to witness something you cannot explain?
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from the bottom right hand corner of the Nevada Triangle in a city called Fresno, California. I am your host, my name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. To my right, I have my co-host Alan Thomas.
Hi everyone.
I want to thank you for showing up tonight wherever you may be. We are broadcasting HD quality video worldwide at ParanormalCentral.net on the live stream network. And we are also broadcasting HD audio through the Dark Matter Network on ArtBell.com. Yeah, you heard me right. ArtBell.com is carrying our signal worldwide as well. So we got the best of both worlds here wherever you may be. Thank you for showing up. We have another great show tonight for you. We've been wanting to get this guy on for a long time. And as you guys know, we talk about everything here. When it comes to paranormal, we think this subject is right up there. So we hope you enjoy it. And for those who don't believe in what we talk about on this particular subject coming up, I hope you don't get offended. But you know what? The stuff is really happening. We have Richard Shaw, the director and the producer for the film The Torah Codes. And we're going to talk about foreseeing the future, what's coming up in the near future. Definitely like real close, like next year, man. This is going to be scary and good stuff at the same time. So, sit back. I hope you are comfortable wherever you may be. Make sure you go to the refrigerator and get yourself an ice cold whatever. And get ready because we're going to have some fun tonight. My name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. I am your host. I am also the founder of a group called the Sanger Paranormal Society. Have been investigating the paranormal going on, over 13 years. And, we're just not talk show hosts here. We also go out there and investigate the paranormal. So we kind of know what we're talking about a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So I hope you take that into consideration when we are here. And because, a lot of people like what we're doing here. And we're talking about subjects that other shows don't want to touch. And that's what we're going to keep doing here because I think you guys need to know everything that's going out there in the world. And this is the show that you're going to get it from. So I want to thank you again for showing up wherever you may be.
This is actually what we're going to talk about tonight is really not talked about. I mean, I think I seen maybe one History Channel show and they kind of were trying to debunk it,
Right.
Make it say it's not real, but it's real.
Oh yeah, it's real.
Just like a ghost and all the other
stuff. So what are the Torah codes? We're gonna talk about. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna say the word, and I hope it does, people don't freak out and run out of the house and go because this is gonna blow people away, and I hope that this show tonight is going to change some minds out there about the Bible. Silence. Oh my God. Yes, the Bible. We're going to talk. What the heck is it? Oh, that's you. Lower that down. That's you.
Oh, it is.
Rookie move on Alan's part. Got the volume there. Hello. Turn on the volume. Yeah. So Alan just turned on the iPad, and there you go. So you have to probably take it out of the case. So anyways, we're gonna call Richard Shaw right around 5:30, and then we're gonna have him on for pretty much until our voices can't talk anymore, because the Torah codes include everything we talk about here, and I mean UFOs, conspiracy theories, all that great stuff, and we're gonna basically get into it even probably deeper than the Torah code. So we're gonna basically tear apart Richard's mind a little bit and get into what he believes as well, and I think he believes sort of kind of what we believe here. So I can't wait for that. But as you know, before every show starts, we get the Bigfoot report. Danny Valderrama is our Bigfoot reporter, and he knows just about everything you want to know about Bigfoot. And we're going to call him up, and he's going to give us the 2 cents of what's been going on around the world and in America on Bigfoot sightings and Bigfoot news, and a little bit of cryptozoology as well thrown in there too. So we're going to go ahead and call him right now, and we're going to get what's going on with Bigfoot. So let me just go ahead and get Danny on the phone now. Emerald's not here. I know. So I don't know what's up with Emerald, but she said she couldn't make it today. So we're doing everything ourselves. Hey.
Hello?
Stop talking to yourself.
Man, I was talking to you. Talk a lot.
Do I talk a lot? That's what my wife says. Shut up.
You didn't turn on the monitor behind you.
You know what? We're having problems with that monitor.
You could turn me on.
For some reason,
it keeps going
off. It keeps going off. And
wow.
I don't know why. I mean, the power's on.
Stuff plugged in.
I don't know. Everything's plugged in just like we usually have it, man. And it is not. I mean, it comes on for like 5 or 10 seconds, and boop, it goes off. So I don't know. So we're gonna have to. I mean, we haven't touched anything.
No.
You know what? We just have so much electronics in this place. It's like I don't know if the power consumption is low on that TV, maybe, and that's what it is. But I don't know. So, anyways, all right, Danny, what's going on?
Chat says it's time to rock.
Time to rock. That's what I'm talking about. So you took your
wife.
wife.
T-shirts too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So you took your wife out last night
for her birthday.
For her birthday, right? What'd you get her?
Yeah, she's like 90 now.
Ooh, and you cut off.
Give her a bad time.
And what'd you get her for her birthday?
Clothes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, all right. And
that always works. Jewelry, clothes, makeup.
Well, you did get her. Well, you did get her diamonds for the 25th anniversary, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. That's not what she told me. Boo. All right.
It was zirconium.
It really busted. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Danny Valderrama sent me over some pictures, and we're going to view them on the screen in a little bit. And for all those who are listening to us at artbell.com on the Dark Matter Network, the pictures right now are on the home page marked Bigfoot Report, Paranormal Central, and today's date. So you can follow us just like we're going to be doing right now on the screen. And I am going to go to the screen right now, and we're going to go ahead and show what Danny sent over. Okay, so Mr. Danny Valderrama, I got picture number 1 up. And you are a
picture
go.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say
This was on the Non-Human Rights Project.org page, and this was from Monday, April 20th. And it's a story that keeps changing by the minute. So it's the first time in history that a judge has recognized 2 chimpanzees as legal persons, granting them the writ of habeas corpus. And that the order means that it commands the individual or government office who is restrained another to produce the person at a certain time and place, so that the court can determine the legality of their custody. And they need to, when the people show up, they need to justify the prisoner's detention, or the court may order that they be released. So the chimps are non-human animals, but in order for this to happen, they need to be declared human. So these 2 chimps, Hercules and Leo, they're being used right now for biomedical experimentation at Stony Brook University in Long Island, New York. And that study, they says, they're conducting is the evolution of human bipedalism. So they're the case was brought forward by the Non-Human Rights Project, and it started in 2013, and it's still going on. And every court that they've gone in front of has denied their request, and until this one on Monday. And the Supreme Court Justice Barbara Jaffe issued an order on behalf of the two chimpanzees. But under the New York state law, only legal persons have the order, may have the order to show cause in the writ of habeas corpus issued on his or her behalf. And it's a two-step process. You know, the judge orders the order, issues the order, and then the Non-Human Rights Project has to serve Stony Brook, and then Stony Brook has to appear in court and has to show why they're holding them and what experiments they're doing on them. And then the court will decide. And the hearing was scheduled for May 6th. And it's a Non-Human Rights Project. And they're asking that the two chimpanzees be freed. And they want them to go to a sanctuary in Fort Lauderdale. Fort Pierre, Florida. So this has been going on for a while. It's been denied. It's just blowing everybody's mind that the judge has done this. He declared them human. And these people are claiming that the reason they are human is because the chimps were too intelligent. They're self-aware, emotionally complex, and to be detained in captivity is cruel to them because they know what's going on.
Okay,
so I want to hear that. I want to hear it in their own words. Yeah, that's right.
They sometimes you have to be up there and you have to complain and tell them why. The person being held has to be able to tell them why.
Right.
In some cases, and I don't know if they'd be able to do that.
Nope.
But the whole case has opened a big can of worms,
right.
And they may start if this one is allowed, they may start having all kinds of cases being tied up in the courts for all animals, not just the chimpanzees, but Bigfoot and elephants. And
well, that's where I was going with this, with Bigfoot.
This whole thing sounds like a bunch of monkey business.
Yeah. Well, the next day, April 21st, under probably heavy pressure, I'm sure, and other judges probably contacting her saying, "What are you doing?" The judge amended the court order and removed their writ of habeas corpus. So it doesn't dismiss the case. It just means the court hasn't decided on whether these two will be treated as legal persons yet. They can still hear the case without deciding that. And the case has been rescheduled to May 27th now at 10:30 a.m. the New York County Supreme Court, and that is open to the public.
Jeez,
so it'd be interesting to see what's going to go on with that one.
Okay, that one's
that sounds like so dumb. I mean, come on.
It's going to get a lot of animals freed if they do go through with it.
Right.
Like when the monkey's in there, can he say that he has to go do some monkey business? He's been sitting there for an hour in court. He doesn't really know what's going on. Hey, I got to go.
Right. I got a date.
Yeah. Well, if they can't speak, then
that should disqualify it right there.
Wow. Okay. Well,
there's the second picture. It's just them. It looks like they're huddled around an iPhone, but it's actually a piece of bread.
iPhone.
Watching what's going on.
I was going to say, where did you get the iPhone from?
They were texting the results.
If they're declared legal persons, they're eligible to get an iPhone.
I guess.
Wow.
And government assistance.
The Obamacare. Oops. Didn't even mean to go there. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next picture that you sent over, and that's picture number 3. We've got a footprint. Whose footprint is that?
This is one picture. It was posted on the Mugion Monster Arizona Bigfoot page, and it was posted yesterday by Jameek Austin. And this happened near Tuliak, Alaska, and it was 2 Bigfoot spotted, an adult and a juvenile, and 2 children were the ones that were witnessing it. And they watched them, and they watched them take off, and then they went over there, and the evidence they collected was scat, fur, and that picture that they have, that's one of the kids' foot. That's probably the juvenile, because it doesn't seem like it's a very big foot if that's a little kid's foot next to it. And he posted on there that they're looking for this place is where they saw him was way out there in the middle of nowhere, and they're looking for a way to get the evidence to someone to analyze it.
So they pretty much got what, poop, right?
The scat, fur, and the footprint there.
Poop. Now we people know what poop is.
Yeah. So, They said the fur smelled so bad that they couldn't keep it in the house. They had to keep it outside or way away from the house.
Really?
So
And that's
they're looking to get it tested. It just happened yesterday. So
wow. And you know, a lot of reports come in say that they can smell this thing, whatever it is, a long ways. You know, because
it was right by their house. That
it was way away from their house.
Oh, okay.
It didn't say exactly where. Just Tiliak, Alaska, and it doesn't say out where, but it just says that place is the area that they live in is way out there.
Wow.
It didn't say it was near their house. Pretty weird.
Pretty weird. Well, there's the footprint. I mean, that looks pretty darn good. I mean,
I don't see 5 toes, but it might be that the ground is too hard.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Very true. So okay. All right, the next one we're going to, Professor.
Next one is 3 pictures.
Okay.
It's from Steve Coles. He also did this one on April 21st. It's from his Squatch Detective blog. And he says the psych study has recent updates, and people aren't hearing about it because nobody's reporting on it. He says the psychs, the first picture that you have is a picture of psychs.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this study back in probably the middle of last year.
Right.
And he said that his research on it said that the Yeti was actually a fossil polar bear. Well, in a letter that he wrote to the Royal Society Publishing Organization, Sykes admitted that he had made a mistake by stating that their gene bank search was an error, and alluding that their disclosure was to be a modern polar bear.
Wow.
So the next picture you have is a picture of all the samples that they had and the results for all of them. And in the middle it says possible Bigfoot or Yeti, and then at the very end it'll show what the actual results came back as, and it's cow, bear, everything, but none of them are Bigfoot or Yeti.
You know, I wonder. We need a body.
Yep.
We need a body.
A lot of people were saying that on there.
Really?
The only way to do it is with a body.
With a body. Wow. Well, I wonder who started that. Okay.
We almost got arrested for it.
And you know what?
Gene St. Jean said that too. We need a body, either dead or alive.
Gene who? Oh, Gene St. Jean. Yeah, absolutely we do. You know, we need a body, and we need to kill one. Just don't go to Colorado to do it. All right, I'm telling you right now. And if you
don't even really need to go to the mountains.
Yeah. You know, if you go
if we send, maybe we can have Danny deliver a package just at the right place down here to the oranges, and maybe just out of
run him over.
Yeah, that's right. You could just hit him, and
See,
we could call it an accident.
You even knew what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
That's what you always say.
You know.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the UPS truck would take it out.
Oh, well, yeah, probably get Danny fired too. So, and then
get him a new truck.
And then
this
answer with these testings, like he did, it has to be replicated by peer review. So the samples were tested by the Smithsonian and by the University of Kansas scientists, and their conclusions were that there was nothing more than a brown bear. And it says their conclusion is that the person, there is no reason to believe that these 2 samples came from anything other than brown bears. And that's the third picture, because it's a Himalayan brown bear they're saying that this came from.
Okay.
So they're saying there really is no breakthrough.
Right.
It's just the brown bear that's always up there. And the second claim that came out that Steve Coles found was that when he released his book and the claims inside of his books of finding an ape man that's still living and all that stuff, he referenced a research facility, the Institute of Human Genetics of Wolfson College in Oxford, and his colleagues started calling him on this, saying, hey, that place doesn't exist. So he had to come out and say that this place actually is mythical. It doesn't exist. So right now, people are saying that he has 0 credibility.
Wow. Yeah. If any scientist, and that's why you have scientists who don't even want to touch the Bigfoot DNA, don't even want to go there. Because if they screw up, like Syke just did, their name is mud. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And if you are trying to, prove the existence of a non-existent animal like, Bigfoot, then you're going to get criticized upon your peers, and that's just the way it goes. So that's why no one wants to touch it.
He was competing against Melba
right.
at the time,
Yeah.
so I think he just may have rushed it.
Okay.
Man.
Find the correct conclusions.
Well, she supposedly has like 3 genomes, right? Completely all the way through, and they say Bigfoot, not bear.
Well.
And he says doesn't know what she's talking about or something like that. I think he doesn't want it to be a Bigfoot.
Right, because that's just going to basically screw all the scientists. I mean, they're going to be just blown away. I mean, Melba, for one thing, doesn't want us to kill a Bigfoot. She came out and said.
Yeah, that's right.
She came out and said, Paranormal Central, absolutely ridiculous. How dare you try to kill a Bigfoot? So, she is not on our side when it comes to proving the existence. Obviously, she thinks she has what it takes, but we need a body. It's as simple as that. So, okay. All right, what's next, Danny?
All right, the next one has 2 pictures. It's from September of 2014. It's actually a video, and it's been on all the Bigfoot pages this week. It's a video of a real estate place selling a piece of land, 31 acres in Golden, Colorado, in a place called Cold Creek Canyon. And people are seeing a Bigfoot in this video. I did post the video onto the Paranormal Central page,
okay,
so everybody can take a look for themselves. And just go down to that little circle at the bottom, that little wheel, and click on 1080p so you can get the clearest picture of it. And about the 2-minute mark, you'll see something in the background. It's walking. It's a shadow or a silhouette. Everybody's seeing Bigfoot lately.
Right.
And you can see this thing slowly walking, and it sees the camera, and it stops behind a tree or a stump. And it's on the screen for maybe about 3 seconds. But if you look closely, you can see this thing has its hand up by its mouth when it first appears, and then the hand comes down and is walking. And just before it stops, you can see what appeared to be white shoes on it.
Oh, really?
There's something really white by its feet.
Well, I'm looking at that too, and I see right here what looks like to be a tree or an old.
Yeah, I tried to get a picture of the shoe on there, but it wouldn't stop exactly where I needed it to stop, and that was the closest I could see it.
Okay,
you can see a little piece of the white down at the bottom, but if you
and I'm looking at and I'm looking at the white that you're probably visually looking at too as well. But I see that white looked like it's coming off of a tree, old some leaves, some white leaves.
Yeah, but if you watch the video, you can see the white. Like a shoe lift up and then walk away.
All right, so then I'm gonna
definitely see the shoe.
Okay,
it's definitely bipedal. It's all one color.
Right.
It's a dark figure in the woods. I can see why people think it is, but with the white shoe, the stride's not right.
Yeah.
And
I to me it looks like it has a coat on right here. See that?
Yeah, you can see a straight line.
Yeah, a straight line at the very bottom, like it has a jacket
or something. There could be a
track
out there or a walkway or
so
the cameraman may have taken somebody out there, and it could be walking the perimeter of the 31 acres there.
Right.
I don't see a Bigfoot.
No,
and the people that put up this picture, Buyers Film Company, they have no comment about it. They didn't see it when they first did the clip, and people are asking on their on the YouTube channel, and they haven't answered anybody yet. Hey, did you see that in the background? Is that Bigfoot?
Why don't they just come out and say, you know what, that was one of our guys just walking out there in the perimeter. That's all they got to say. That's all they got to say. But you know what? They're going to take it for what it's worth and ride this out. Because if it is a Bigfoot, I mean, if they want us to think it's a Bigfoot, then some nutcase will go buy the property just because.
The property has been sold. It says right on the front there.
There you go.
Property sold.
Well, you put that video on Paranormal Central Facebook.
Yeah.
I could take it off and I can slow it down and enlarge it and go frame by frame, and maybe I could pull it out.
Yeah, you should be able to see the white shoe.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it and we'll see. And if I get anything next week, we'll have something. If not, if we don't talk about it ever again, I didn't get nothing.
Right, you get nothing. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, Alan's gonna try it out, see what happens. So, okay. Next is now you're making me hungry.
Hungry.
How did they do that, man? That is so cool.
Nerdist.com is the page, and it was everywhere too. This one was the Bigfoot bunt cake, and I put the recipe. I found the recipe online. It's on the Bigfoot Paranormal Central page, so everybody can make their own Bigfoot cake. You make a chocolate cake, and you get the Bigfoot shaped cookie cutter. You cut out the chocolate Bigfoot, and you drop them in the cake. It shows you how to get the cookie cutter too. There's a website on Etsy where you can get it.
See, I thought
that's a lot of work.
I thought it went all the way around through the cake, like no matter where.
No, you hide it in the cake, and some one lucky person will get it.
Oh, I get it. All right.
See, I thought it was like all the way through the cake.
Exactly
right?
what I was thinking.
And I was
too.
saying, man, that was really
That's
smart.
exactly what I was thinking too. But no. Okay, right on.
No way.
No way. That's a lot of work. Well, you know what? Somebody needs to come out and invent something that could do that.
Well, I'm sure that there's some baker somewhere that could.
Oh, easy.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, not us, easy. Sorry, but it just those guys out there who do this for a living could figure something out.
Yeah. Right. One last thing, I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Mitchell Waite. He was 64. He was a very popular Bigfoot researcher in the Mogollon Rim area, and everybody knew him. He was on this was on every page.
Right.
I mean, so he had a big following. He really kept a handle on all the monsters up there. And it was April 19th, 2015. He had a massive heart attack in Mesa, Arizona, and served in the Air Force for 20 years. He was a major. And Susan Farnsworth was taking care of all the reports there until he, in 2007, started seeing a bunch of sightings near his house, or seeing reports of the sightings near his house. So that's when he came onto the scene and was with her. And he owned Southwest Publications, where he authored several books along, and he had one with Susan Farnsworth, and he knew Travis Walton, David Paulides, Ben Harper from Fact or Fakes, and he was very popular. And here at Paranormal Central, we salute him.
Yeah, salute. And the guy was a good guy. I chatted with him on Facebook quite a bit.
He posted the day before he passed away. He was still posting. So
wow.
Just a massive heart attack all of a sudden.
Wow. Yeah, that's usually how it gets you. You don't have no warning.
No warning at all.
Yeah.
Right.
No warning.
Right on. So, all right, Mr. Danny. So are you gonna be here next week?
I'll be here.
Right on.
I hope.
Right on, Danny.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Danny. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. We'll talk to you.
The world's still here. I'll be here.
Right on. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too right now. So right on. All right. See you, Danny.
Okay.
See ya.
Like if Yellowstone doesn't blow up or something.
You know what? Let's talk about that right now, since before we get Richard Shaw on the phone. Man, is stuff happening around the world or what, you guys? I'm serious. What the heck is going on? Before we bring Richard Shaw on, let's talk really quick about the training, the military training that's going on in 5 locations in what, 3 states, 4 states, 5 states?
Well,
how do you?
I was actually looking at a PDF file,
right, that
shows the whole United States, the continent, not Hawaii,
right,
and Alaska, but the proper states that we have right here. And they were some of them were red, and red meant it was unfriendlies. Okay. And that's how the military was going to conduct itself,
right, as
unfriendlies. California was blue, and it said that they were going to be mostly like in 5 states, but it actually is covering the whole United States, because they're going to fly planes, and they were sending this thing out to all the mayors and sheriffs and saying really they didn't have a choice, but only there's going to be noise, there's going to be military equipment on your streets, there's going to be military, a big presence for 3 months.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's figure out why that is happening right now. With the 5 Walmarts closing, everybody was alluding that has something to do with what's going on. And at this point in time, we don't know. For those, I'm pretty sure a lot of people already know about the 5 Walmarts closing down. One day, all of a sudden, 5 Walmarts closed and pretty much fire everybody. They're giving them severance pay, I think, a couple of months.
Yeah.
But that's it. You need to find another job. Okay. So and the excuse they were giving were plumbing issues.
See, I worked for Walmart paying my way through college, and I was on the fast track to management, and I quit because when I was in, the reason I even went, in one of my college classes, I was studying about Sam Walton. And, he called all his employees associates. And he made them business partners. You could buy stock, and he would match the stock. I mean, this dude was cool, I mean, he would go around to all the Walmarts and meet him. He knew everybody by name, their first name. If he didn't, that's what, you put your first name on there.
Right.
And, he would go around there. He was a nice guy. As soon as he died, it all of a sudden turned into evil Walmart.
Evil
right?
Corporate.
Yeah. Oh, man. Bottom line driven. We used to get locked in and work off the clock for like 2 or 3 hours. I mean, it was totally illegal. But only they're so profit driven that closing these stores like that, it doesn't make sense. I mean, the managers and everybody in that store, every morning or every pre-shift, everyone gets told about the numbers of the store. Did you beat yesterday? Did you beat last month? And how did you do stacked up against last year?
So
right?
obviously, if that was the case, then they would, if the numbers would have came out showing really bad, they would all have known.
Right.
So it didn't seem like that at all.
In fact, you would get in trouble. You would get in trouble if you didn't beat last year.
Right.
That was the big goal. You had to beat the numbers for last year. So, everybody should have known something was going on, even if it was a plumbing problem in those meetings before you start your shift. That should have came out, right?
That makes sense.
This whole thing doesn't make sense.
Correct.
At all.
Correct. Okay, so let's continue talking about that Walmart thing really quick, and then we're going to get Richard Shaw on.
Yeah, but does it really tie into this Jade Helm?
I don't know.
Thing.
That I couldn't tell you. All I can tell you is the videos that I have been viewing on, Facebook, on YouTube, show, the Walmart's completely shut down, still stocked. The one in Pico Rivera has sheriff's officers placed in vehicles around the Walmart, and that could be because they don't want it to get looted. I mean, that's just, I'm thinking maybe that's the case. But there has been a lot of military vehicles being transported on trains around the United States, and people are going, okay, maybe they're bringing them back from Iraq or whatever, but these vehicles are not tanks, aren't jeeps. These are military cargo vehicles that are enclosed, that you could probably put 10 to 12 or 15, military personnel inside, protected, and that's what these vehicles are. And they look brand new.
Yeah, personnel carriers.
Personnel carriers. There you go. So, I something is coming our way, and I think you think the same. And I think we're going to talk to Richard about that as well on the Torah Codes. But I think there's something coming this way, and our military is getting ready. Now, look at all of the phenomena that's going on right now. Look at Chile, the volcano in Chile, just boom. What happened yesterday or the day before? Yesterday.
Awesome videos too, man.
Absolutely. And those 2 UFOs that appeared. No, I don't know if it's 2 or 1, because the one video that I see shows the UFO on the right-hand side, and then the other video shows the UFO on the left-hand side.
Right.
So it could be somebody shooting the video on one end of the volcano, and then on the other side thinking it's 2, but it could very well be just 1. I don't think it's an airplane or a helicopter. I think they would be stupid to be that close, for one thing.
They don't fly. Even though this guy came out and said, "Oh, that was my 747."
Okay,
right?
that's stupid.
But only, you know what? They won't let 747s get close to that.
That's stupid. So, and then you have the 7.9 in Nepal.
Man,
all right, we're going 2,000 people died already in there. Okay, so. And then there's earthquakes just happening all over the place, left and right, you guys. And then just the weather phenomena is just out of this world. It's just crazy. It's something is messing with the weather, and I think it's because something that's in our solar system that's messing everything up.
Yeah, but only, man, I actually have been, and I'm not putting these guys down, right? I mean, that's valid. That's NASA. was coming out with models saying that we're global warming. I mean, even a lot of very intelligent people believe that based on the science. You know what I mean? What they don't get is the science is like being rigged. I mean, you can make any report come out saying anything you want. Like when I worked at the casino, in order to sell me on a certain radio station or TV station, they would put together something and say, "This is your audience." You know what I mean? But they can mess with the numbers to make the outcome what I want to hear. Sure. Right. That's the same thing they're doing with global warming. If you look, they're using, like, say, old data from from cars that don't have smog on them. And nowadays, man, like in the state, just for instance, like in our Central Valley where we live, 30 years ago, we had the worst pollution ever, right? We are record clean air right now and have been. I mean, records. Really? We're setting records for clean air, yes. So, I mean, if they're saying we did it, that we're polluting everything, we can't be, because we're setting records on clean air. I mean, what in the world? Something doesn't add up, right?
Right, okay.
So it is coming in. Something's coming in. I think so.
You think
too.
so? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and get Richard Shaw on the line here, and we're going to have some fun, and we're going to talk about all the good stuff that. All right. So let me get and as you know, because Emerald is not here, I am going to be the one calling him, and there you go.
Yeah, man. The chemtrails, they were out again. We rained all day yesterday. Chemtrails today. Just chemtrails all over the place. Yeah. He's listening to us. Hey.
Hello.
Hello, Richard.
Hi.
Can you hear us? You might want to. Yeah, you might want to turn down your laptop. There's a delay.
Yeah, I turned it off.
Right on.
Right on.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Richard, for coming on tonight. We have been looking forward to this for a long time.
Sure have.
Well, me too. This is always great fun.
Awesome. Okay. I hope your voice is ready to go. I hope you have something cold or hot right near you, and because we're going to be talking a lot, man. And if you want to take a break, you let me know. If you have to go, relieve yourself, you let me know. You got to go to the bathroom, and we'll, no problem. Okay. So, because we're going to have some fun tonight. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, Richard Shaw. Let's talk about you first. What got you interested in the Torah Codes, in the first five
well,
books?
That's kind of an interesting story. But first, I had a couple of people I really wanted to thank, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, go for it.
First of all, Monty Torres, who led us together for an introduction, which I appreciate. David Greenhill, who had the vision to help fund this project, or it would have never gotten done. Terry Tilton, my co-producer, who keeps me from going crazy. My wife, Mary, who puts up with all the weird stuff I'm involved in. And my writer friend, Dan Gordon, who was introduced to me through Barry Morrow, the guy that wrote Rain Man. My Rain Man writer friend introduced me to Dan, and we ended up going to Israel together. So, I mean, it's been a crazy time, but to answer that question that you just asked, I'm a filmmaker. I'm not an expert in ancient Hebrew. I was introduced to Michael Drosnin's books way back in the late 90s, and since then I've bought all three of them and read them, and was always fascinated with it. And through an incredibly strange twist of fate, I ended up meeting the rabbis involved that were the world experts. I mean, that in itself is a crazy story. I don't know if we have time for me to tell you about that or not.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of time. Go for it.
Yeah.
Well, basically, I have a long-term friend, Lee Camelon, who was at the time, this was back, I guess it was like 2006 or something. And he walked into my studio that I had in Hollywood at the time and goes, and I was just telling him, someday I'd like to do a documentary about the Bible codes. Back then, everybody called them the Bible codes. And because I said, I'm really intrigued with it, but what I don't understand is why everyone who's made documentaries about it
has only used the tables that were available in the books of Michael Drosnin. No one ever went to Israel, met the rabbis and professors, and found out what they're doing. To me, that would be more interesting. But I said, I have no idea how I'd ever meet those guys or ever get to Israel or ever, earn their trust enough to where we could even discuss it. And that was kind of it. That was the end of the conversation. Well, a week or so later, Lee leaves on a plane to Japan because he was working on a show with Ricky Lee Jones, the recording artist. And he gets back and decides to go visit his brother Paul, who's in New York. So he gets ready to go on a plane, and they cancel the trip and due to bad weather or something. So a couple of days later, they rebooked the flight. It's on JetBlue. So now he has no idea what his seat assignment's going to be or anything. He gets on the plane, and the seat puts him next to this guy who looks like a rabbi. And it turned out it was Professor Robert Haralick, who was Distinguished Professor of Computer Science for City University in New York and one of the key Torah Code researchers, and wrote the software that searches the Torah.
Wow.
And so when he landed in LaGuardia after talking to Robert for 5 hours, he calls me up and said, Rick, I think there's somebody here that you'd like to talk to, and tosses the phone to Professor Haralick, and I'm going, I don't believe this. So as usual, as people would say, when God's involved in something or the universe is, you don't have to do anything. It just kind of falls into your lap. Well, that's kind of what happened to me. I felt like, well, I'm the least person that should be given this opportunity. But within about a year, I had met Professor Rips, who is considered the discoverer of the Torah Codes. Became really good friends with Rabbi Mathiyahu Glazerson, who's an expert in ancient Hebrew, and eventually met the other men who are considered the world experts on this discovery. And they're all in Jerusalem except for Professor Haralick, and he still is in New York. So that's how I got involved with it. I didn't even go after these guys. I just had it come to me, and it was amazing.
Wow. Okay, so what can I ask you a personal question? Are you a
Absolutely.
Are you a religious man?
Boy, that's a hard one to answer because I do believe what we read in Scripture is being true, but I don't look at the Bible as being a book of religion. I think that's what man has done to basically foul things up to a great extent. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yes, it does.
I was raised in a Christian family. I didn't find out until way later because I'm adopted. I didn't find out until 2009 that my father was Jewish. I had no way of knowing that until the internet came about, and I was able, with the help of my wife Mary, to kind of track a few things down. And all that unfolded as I was already trying to work on the Torah Code film, which seemed really strange to me.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, we read about all of these things in Scripture, a lot of them which don't make sense. And it's incredible to me that the shows like you're doing on so-called paranormal really get what's going on in the world right now, while the churches, for the most part, are sound asleep.
Bingo.
They don't even. You put this stuff out there, and they read about all of these supernatural / paranormal events that are in the Bible, and it just goes in one ear out the other. It just doesn't register to them what that means.
They kind of like have a one-track mind. Have you noticed that? Like, if you try to broaden the horizon a little bit, like make the picture see the full picture, they resist.
Right.
They want to have that narrow vision. Only this one thing could be like that or something like that.
Right.
Well, I've had some people get downright angry.
Yeah. And well, exactly. Let me give an example. Is my family, well, not all of my family, but some of my family, not immediate family, like cousins and stuff, they think because I do this and I talk about aliens and ghosts and evil, spirits, that I don't believe in God and anymore. And it blows me away, because we talk about the Bible on this show a lot, and we come to the conclusion that the Bible happens to be probably the most paranormal book ever written.
Oh, totally, and the most sci-fi book ever written.
There you go. Yeah.
And what you're bringing to the table even makes that even more paranormal. Like,
right?
How did the code get there? Like, when was it written? 3,000 years ago,
right?
And who had the foresight or knowledge to encode that? Like, wow.
Well, yeah. I mean, the reason. I mean, this gets into another discussion about, is the Bible encoded all throughout the whole Bible, or is it just the Torah?
The Torah.
And that's like almost another discussion, and I have some good answers for that, because we've discussed this at length.
Okay.
And I know people that are doing ridiculous searches using the King James English Bible to get codes throughout the Bible, and they get stuff. Of course, you can. If you run this stuff through the computer, you can come up with stuff. It has. They have no understanding whether what they're getting has any significance or not,
right? From
a probability standpoint. They're just getting words, and it's kind of a mess when you look at what they've got. But they don't understand. It'd be like saying, here's a great example. And I'm already kind of jumping ahead to something else, but I feel like I need to say this because this bothers me.
Say it, Richard. Say it.
Well, it'd be like, say, everybody knows what HTML code is if they've done anything with making a website. You open it up, and it has the structure of the page in pixels, and, there's these commands, and a picture goes here, and then there's text that goes here. Now, I'm going to take all of that, and I'm going to rewrite it in Old English and see if it's going to work.
Right. And it's all jumbled up, basically.
No, I'm afraid not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Makes sense.
It's not going to work.
No.
It's all jumbled up.
So basically, you look at the Torah, and it's all written in Hebrew and has not been changed for thousands of years. I mean, scribes would have been punished if they had done anything to change anything. And even in the old days, when it was written down on skins, they would, if they screwed up and miswrote a letter, they had to take a sharp implement and actually cut out that letter and lift it off the first surface of the skin and write it down again. And if they couldn't fix it by doing that, they had to rewrite the entire page. And the Torah in itself was like reverenced, like being special. Something about the Torah was special, and you have to understand that the Torah, which is a compilation of the first 5 books of the Old Testament, was given to mankind in very mysterious circumstances, unlike any other book in the entire Bible. The Torah was handed to Moses or given to Moses, or we don't really know exactly what was going on, how he got this information, other than if you talk to most Christian churches, they'll say, well, God dictated it to Moses. But yet they don't even read further in the book of Acts of their same Bibles that say the Torah was given to us by angels. Now, of course, you're not going to get an Orthodox rabbi to read something out of the New Testament. But most of the Jews that I've met and the rabbis believe that UFOs are real.
Whoa.
Now, this gets into a whole other topic here.
That's where I want to go.
Whole other topic.
Right.
They don't call them aliens.
No. Okay.
That's the difference.
Right.
No, there's a very thin line between angels and aliens. What we might see today, having the insights that we have today, and call an alien, in the old days they might have called an angel. And there's all different kinds of these beings, and they have lots of powers. But, I mean, that gets into a whole other thing. That's not the Torah codes here, but I am saying that the Jewish community, for the most part, gets it. They get the fact that this is not all baloney about UFOs. All this is supposed to happen. In some of their mystical texts, it talks about these things. One of my first conversations I ever had with Rabbi Glazerson, I was dying to ask him about UFOs because I'd never asked one of these men about something like that. I know it's real. It's been proven to me too many times for me not to know the whole UFO phenomena is a real one. But to hear it from a rabbi, we started talking. Somehow this conversation got into about Noah's flood and the Tower of Babel and all that. And then he goes, well, the Tower of Babel was a launching platform for space vehicles. I'm like, now wait a minute. Hold it right there.
What? Wow. And that's coming from a rabbi?
This is coming from a rabbi, a guy who I consider now a close friend to the point where I consider him part of my family. Rabbi Glazerson, I really think the world of him. And he's just a walking encyclopedia of ancient knowledge like this. I mean, the guy is an amazing individual. And I have to stress that. And to the point where a lot of the other Torah code experts kind of consider Glazerson as romantic because he gets into things that it makes them a bit uncomfortable. And yet, they always ask Glazerson for his opinions on what's coming up in their tables.
Wow.
and they're close. Like Rabbi Glazerson is good friends with Professor Rotenberg and Professor Eliyahu Reps, an incredible individual. I mean, these guys are insanely special, brilliant, genius-level characters of who I've never met people like this in my life before. Wow. I can actually say that.
Wow.
And I know some really brilliant people, and I know scientists, and I mean, I was a really good friend of Dr. Leary, unfortunately passed away last year. So I hang out with people like this because I love being around smart people. If you want to get smart, that's how you do it.
That's right.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know,
and read lots of books.
I never was wonder. Yeah, I never got into like football or any of that stuff because this stuff was far more interesting to me. Right. So anyway,
ditto. Yep, I was. I was. I'm not calling you a nerd, but I was a nerd growing up, liking all this stuff that we talk about today, and that's where I'm at today. So okay, all right. I love where you're going with this. You're including the stuff that we talk about, and you know, I let's talk about the Torah code. Let's talk about the 5 books, the Bible. Okay, well, you know, there's oh my God, there's so much I want to talk about.
Well, I have a feeling like it seems it seems like he kind of has like a way that he's going,
right?
You know, like I guess in what would you say, an outline, and he's kind of got it in order, and it sounds pretty good. I mean, he's going in the right way. You know?
Right. Okay. So the Torah is the first 5 books in the Old Testament, right?
That's right.
Okay. Now, and this, okay, I wrote down so many notes here.
Yeah, you did.
I did, because I saw your video freaking 3 times, and yeah, I mean,
wow.
I had to because it's like there's so much information on there. I didn't want to forget anything. So, who knew about the Torah codes? This was done like in the 13th century, correct?
Well,
yeah, there was a guy, Rabbi Bakia Ben Asher, who just somehow, just counting with his finger, found a 42-letter skip code that had to do with the cycle of the moon, and through mathematics figured out when the moon would rise and fall. And this was important to their crops and everything else. And it wasn't until the 60s when NASA was able to extend it to like 2 more decimal points. I mean, this was like amazing. And what I've learned since my association with these men is that there are famous rabbis throughout history that were famous not just because they understood what the Torah was all about, but because they were brilliant mathematicians, and they seem to go hand in hand here. And one of them was the Vilna Gaon, who believed that the Torah was basically the the blueprint of the universe. That so much stuff was in that book, but in those days they didn't have any way to really search the text. There was no computers to do that, but most of the smartest guys, including Sir Isaac Newton, believed that something unusual was going on with the Torah, that there was more to it than what meets the eye, and that somehow it was encoded. And it didn't really, the code wasn't broken until the 50s, when there was another rabbi, mathematician, brilliant guy, also worked on hoping to crack the Enigma code. His name was Michael Dove Weissmandel. His entire family was killed in Auschwitz, and he ended up in New York in the early 50s and had some interns at a university there help him by counting with their finger through the Torah to find stuff. I mean, it's just an unbelievably enormous task. I mean, there's over 300,000 letters in the Torah here. Here you are counting it with your finger, hoping to come up with something. Well, he came up with this amazing thing just by counting with his finger. He found the word Torah encoded every 50 letters in the book of Genesis. So, okay, that's cool. Maybe that's just a harmless fluke. Maybe there's nothing to it. So he said, well, let me try the book of Exodus. So he goes to the first letter, Tet, in Hebrew, and skips every 50 letters, and it says Torah. He says, okay, interesting. Now it does it in the book of Exodus. Now, this is no computers, no nothing. It's just counting with its finger. Then he goes to the book of Leviticus, and it doesn't work. He said, well, that was interesting. But then he thought, well, maybe in Leviticus, since it's the middle book, is more about God and the law, because that's what Leviticus is about. So, the Jews have this big thing about numbers. I mean, it's more than just gematria. It's just each number itself is significant. And so the number 8 to these guys is the union of God and man. So he skipped every 8 letters, and it spelled out the word Hashem, which is the Jewish word for God of no name. So then he went back to skipping 50 letters in the book of Numbers, and it spelled Torah, but it spelled it backwards. So then he tried it in the book of Deuteronomy every 50 letters. It didn't work. He goes, but that's the book that Moses wrote, so he doesn't get the perfect number 50. He gets 49 letters. So he skipped every 49 letters, and it spells out the word Torah backwards. Whoa. So now this is way beyond coincidence at this point.
It's almost
just counting with his finger.
It's like pointing to something, huh? Like one way is going spelled the right way, and then the other way is spelled backwards, but pointing to the center, right? Pointing to the God with no name.
Yeah. So basically, if you can imagine in a graphic sense here, you have Torah, God in the middle book, a mirror image Torah. Everything's reflecting into God.
Wow.
Now, that's pretty powerful stuff.
That's
just
amazing.
Counting with your finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm not looking at this in a religious way at all. I'm not looking at the Torah as being a Methodist book or a Judaic book or anything like that. I'm just saying this is a book that was given to us under very mysterious circumstances, and we haven't examined it fully enough, in my opinion. So when I found out about these codes and these professors that were taking it seriously and trying to break this code down and find out what's in there, I couldn't get the idea out of my mind. I thought, this seems to me like a fulfillment of what it says in the book of Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Now, how do you seal a book everyone's already reading? The only way you could do that is to encode it, encrypt it. And we go, well, we could do that now with our emails. We encrypt our emails. But then that makes it sound like we're the only ones that could figure that out. And I think that there was a lot going on from a technological standpoint thousands of years ago that we're too arrogant to admit. There could have been all sorts of stuff going on.
Right. All right. Wow. Okay. Hold on. I'm just checking some volumes here. All right.
Wasn't there something in the Torah also that I guess predicted this, right? And that's why they were all looking for it. Something like that. It was like said there was something there, but you had to have like some kind of wisdom to get it out, or so they all knew it was there, but they couldn't figure out how to get to it or understand it or something like that.
I do know that Drosden's first book, on the front cover of that book, is a prediction. And the prediction was, Yitzhak Rabin, assassin will assassinate.
Right, yeah.
Now, Michael Drosden found that code a year before Rabin was indeed assassinated. And then later, when they went back into that code table, they found the name of the guy who pulled the trigger to assassinate.
Wow. So written 3,000 years ago.
Right. But if time is nonlinear, and if beings more powerful than we are can step interdimensionally through time, then that's and no big deal to them, then one could see how maybe that could be done. But the encoding of it is so complicated, because you're reading a story about Joseph being thrown into a pit and his brothers, selling him off, and he ends up in Egypt. And you're reading all of this stuff, and that's all in the Torah. And intertwined with all of that information, those stories, are codes that are in there. Now, try to write something like that. It's outrageous.
Okay, so the Torah, the book, let's say the Bible itself, the Torah, are you telling me the rabbis, since they believe in UFOs, and I'm assuming then they believe in alien life in other places, are they saying...
Well, not all of them do.
Okay.
Not all of them do, but some of them do.
Okay, so how about the ones that you have been working with on this film? Do they believe that we're not alone, right?
Some of them do, and some of them
don't.
Believe that to discuss UFOs in the same context as the Torah Codes takes the Torah Codes down a notch. Because some of them are really concerned that the codes are taken seriously, and that they're also treated with scientific respect. And I get that. I totally understand that mindset there. But then there's also, if we're dealing with a book that has supernatural origins, and this is just my opinion. I'm not transmuting this to anybody else that is involved searching for Torah codes or anything like that. But I think we have to look a bit beyond just the science of it and try to understand what's going on there. Are we getting other clues besides just being able to run this through a computer through millions of other texts and get probability numbers, which Professor Haralick does? But could there be some other things going on there that? And yes, I think there are. I think there's things in there that we have to examine. And one of the people that's in the film isn't a Torah code expert, but he's a guy that I met out here in L.A. His name is Nir Studnitsky, and he's a writer. And he one day told me, he said, I'm studying ancient Hebrew. And I said, why in the world are you doing that? It's so difficult. And you can go in so many different directions with that kind of a study. And he said, because there's things in there that are really startling. And he gave me this example. He told me, like, at lunch one day, so I discovered that if you take the commas out of one of the chapters of the book of Deuteronomy, it talks about floating cities in the sky. I said, what? and so, I've read the passage in the translations that we have of it, and it talks about walls going up into the sky. But if you go back to the actual ancient Hebrew and read it, it talks about floating cities in the sky.
So,
and because the commas weren't in there until many hundreds of years later.
So
it was another bunch of people that put them in to make it easier to read the Torah. And according to the Midrash and other mystical Jewish books, the original Torah was given to Moses with no spaces between the words and no punctuation marks. So essentially, if you looked at this scroll, you kind of hold it up and look at it like, wow, this looks like machine language or something. It doesn't look like a book I've ever seen.
All right, what I want to do right now, Richard, is I'm going to read you that passage from Deuteronomy 128. What is, now this is coming out of the fifth book. Okay, here it is. What is the land to which we go? Our brothers have frightened us, saying the people there are superior to us with large, I can't even read my handwriting. Large virtuous cities in the sky, and we saw the giant people there. And you mentioned Nephilim. There are a lot of places in the Bible that people witnessed fire in the sky, wheels on fire, and we can go on and on and on. So that's what we're trying to tell people, that there is stuff like this throughout the whole Bible and in the Torah.
Well, I agree. I've been wanting to do another documentary just on ancient technologies because I did a talk about it last year, and someone posted it. It's gotten over 30,000 hits. So I guess other people kind of feel like maybe there's something to it. But I started studying this, and the more I studied it, it was like, man, have I just had blinders on my eyes my whole life and didn't realize what I was reading here? Because when you really start reading what it's, look, the guys that were writing this back thousands of years ago had no technology upbringing. They don't have iPhones 3,000 years ago, and they didn't have LEDs, and they didn't know what plasma was, and they'd never seen a spaceship. And now that stuff is like, our lives are permeated with that stuff, from Hollywood and from YouTube videos and stuff being seen all over the world, and technology that we're just constantly handed. Here, try this. Oh, it's the new Apple Watch. What does that do? Oh, it reads your pulse while you're walking. Oh, how does it do that? I mean, we just take this stuff for granted now. It's no big deal. It's relatively new stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this hasn't been around that long.
No. Right. In fact, everybody, like, through the years was in the same position as them. Like, when you went outside, the stars were bright because there was no electricity. You know what I mean? Like, in our world is totally different, like way different. It's a distraction. Even
seeing this thing you're talking about is Ezekiel's spinning wheel thing, and how does he describe it? They were the color of a beryl stone. So I looked that up, and there's a kind of beryl stone that's silver gray. I was like, well, he's trying to explain this UFO that he's seeing based on the only thing that he knows, which is a precious stone, to compare it to some color so people could know what the thing looks like.
Right.
He couldn't say, well, it looked like stainless steel, because they didn't have stainless steel back then. Or it looked like brushed aluminum, because they didn't have brushed aluminum. So what does he do? He calls it it's a beryl stone. Well, it doesn't mean we have a floating rock. It just means that's the color it was.
Right.
The guy's trying his darndest to describe something to us. Like if you held up a glowing red LED to one of these guys 3,000 years ago, what would they say that was? Well, it was red like a ruby and glowed like fire.
Right. Right. Just like the.
But we know it's like it's off my car stereo. It's like no big deal.
Right.
Yeah, it would, like, if they heard a car stereo, it would be like the sound of many crowd of people, yelling or something like that.
Like a burning bush, Moses, mounts,
Yeah, well, yeah, and now even with the burning bush, you have to wonder, well, was it really fire, or was he trying to describe a phenomenon?
Right.
Could it have been like an orb? Could it have been like plasma discharged around the area? That's why it wouldn't burn, because it's some major technological effect going on or something. No, we could say, well, it could be the hand of God. Well, granted, it could be something that we don't know how to explain. Could be that too. But I think the scriptures give us clues that don't make any sense and haven't for centuries until
today,
the time we're living in now.
Yeah, right.
Because all of it's coming together, and the Torah codes are coming apart at the seams where we're seeing all this stuff, and we've got to get our heads wrapped around what all this means. I think it'll just open up the scriptures in ways that people just can't believe it. But some churches will never do that. They'll think this is like just nonsense.
Right.
Well, like that. See, that's the part that gets me on this Torah code thing. Like I've researched and I've read the Bible probably like 7 times over my lifetime, and I found some things in there that it's almost impossible, just in the straight, reading of it. Like when it talks about, say, I'll just use Jesus because there's a bunch about him, right? But they talk like way back, they start talking about specific things that this guy's going to do and say and go, and then, over several hundred years they talk about it, and each, different people say different things about him, about how his life is going to be, where he's going to be born, stuff like that. And then this guy comes along, and he doesn't just fulfill one of the things. There's like 600 and something things that he actually, it came down to completing every single one of them. He's like the fulfillment of what they were talking about, right? Just to do that alone to me is like, wow, okay. Then when you
the problem was they couldn't see the forest for the trees, and nothing has changed today. I would say to that example.
But then you come out with,
what you're saying is absolutely true.
Okay, you come out with the Torah codes, okay, and you're using the same books I was reading, but only I was reading, of course I'm reading King James, but not Hebrew, but only it's still the same thing, same stories and everything. And then these guys are digging out codes or things that are in the future when this was written. Okay, way in the future, right. Yeah, and they're even overwritten in maybe the same area where it'll be talking about the exact thing. You know what I mean?
Right, where the codes are superimposed over the plain text that refers to something very similar.
It's like, oh my God, what kind of somebody that is outside of our time, that doesn't have time or something like that, is the only guy that could know this stuff.
Let's get into the Torah code. Let's give some examples to people who are out there right now who don't read the Bible, who don't know about these codes at all. Let's give them some examples, Richard. Start with one. Like, you sent me over some tables. Pick one, and I'll put it up on the screen, and let's talk about it.
Okay. Well, if you want to, we could just use what's up on Art Bell's site and go through them one at a time, if that makes it easy.
Sure, that'll work.
Yeah, in fact, that makes it easy.
The first one is kind of crazy because I was given this table in 2009. It's the Barack Obama table.
Okay.
Rabbi Glazerson sends me this table. This is back when I'm trying to basically get the funding to do this project. And this is how long we've been working on trying to do it. Couldn't get people interested in it until last year. So he sends me this table on Obama, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this?
Okay, now just to let everybody know, hold on, Richard, just to let everybody, we're not ragging on Obama, okay? We're not going to do that. We're just going to show you what...
No, right. But in order to set that up, we just had 8 years of wars and all that stuff under Bush, and so Obama almost seemed like, hopefully we're going to have some respite from that. And whether you're Republican or Democrat, it really didn't matter at the time.
Right.
well, this could be a really cool thing. And so he'd just been elected, and I get this table about him, and it says Barack Obama in the USA president, Barack Islamic. But then if you read it backwards, it says your father Islamic, which we know is true.
Yeah.
His
Wow.
father is Islamic. But then the really crazy code that Glazerson sent me was one born in Kenya.
Oh, man.
Now, this came up in a Torah Code table in 2009. This is years before before there was a birther movement and all that stuff going on. This is like, and I told Glazerson, I said, we all have high hopes for Obama. We hope that he won't basically screw us. And I don't know what to do with this table. It's just not the right time to release it. And so I sat on it. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I didn't feel like, since the Torah codes are already so controversial, putting this out, I felt wouldn't help anybody. but now I feel like, well, heck, I want to release it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's like it's talent.
So,
it is.
so this is new stuff. You just released this how long ago?
You guys are the first radio show I've ever released it with.
Wow.
I showed it
Cool,
to a
thank
few
you.
people at a church in Lubbock 2 weeks ago. They were the first ones to see it. But this is the first radio show to ever post it.
And Art Bell.
I just felt it was time.
Absolutely. So Paranormal
Yeah.
Central and Art Bell has it for the first time. All right. So let's continue on. Go ahead and continue on with the what this table says.
That's amazing so
Well,
far.
basically, these tables kind of read like crossword puzzles,
Mhm.
and we've kind of come to recognize certain things about them. Like if they come up mostly in horizontal and vertical lines, the skip codes usually are smaller and more significant. Not always, but sometimes they are. But that goes into a deeper thing that the professors call resonance. And it's basically like if you have a speaker attached to a big steel plate and you pour grains of rice on it and you put a sweep oscillator under there, and there's stuff on YouTube about this that you can see what happens. You increase the frequency, and every time the frequency goes up an octave and basically doubles in frequency, the rice forms a new pattern, and it keeps doing that. It makes beautiful geometric patterns. Well, in a sense, that's what's happening with Torah code tables and the text, and why it appears horizontally, vertically, backwards, forwards, in diagonal lines and all that, because it's a natural offshoot of this physical law that kind of happens. But the Barack Obama table basically says he was born in Kenya, his father is Islamic, he's the president of the United States. And we knew that in 2009. The next one, if you scroll down to the next table.
Okay.
I just got this. No one else has seen this either.
Wow, cool. You guys are seeing
And
it
I
for the
don't
first
know if,
time. Yeah, we're hearing about it even.
Yeah, I mean, this is even since we did the Torah Code film, and this isn't to negate what's in the Torah Code film, because that will really help you understand what's going on here and get into the heads of these rabbis and professors that are doing it. And there's also 41 tables in the Torah Code film, and there's like a special features page where you can sit there and look at them as long as you want. You can flip through them on your monitor, and you get a Blu-ray disc and a standard def disc, so no matter what you got, you can play this thing. But
Absolutely.
I'm only saying that because there's just a lot of information in that film that we can't go into today. But
Right. And just to let everybody know that the link is on our website, paranormalcentral.net, and you scroll down and you go to his website and purchase it. It's not very much. How much is it?
It's $23.95, and
That's cheap.
And the only reason we charge that much is because you're getting two
Two.
discs, and one of them's a Blu-ray, and we're not DreamWorks.
Right.
So basically, to make a Blu-ray is really expensive.
Sure it is.
I mean, unless you've done it yourself. I mean, I had to get this handled over at ADS in Hollywood, Advanced Digital Systems, and so the glass master was made over at Deluxe Labs. He does all the movie work, and they're a great bunch of guys over there. And so, you know, when you do stuff like that, it's expensive.
Sure it is.
So,
Absolutely. So, okay. So,
Yeah.
if you want to buy it, guys, go to our website, scroll down to the link, and go for it. So, okay, let's continue on. I got the second picture up. Go for it.
What's interesting about this table says in 5775, all of the Torah codes come up in using the Hebrew calendar, not our calendar or the Gregorian calendar, but the Hebrew calendar. So 5775 is the year 2015, and their calendar is slightly shifted from ours. Their new year flips in the month of September, where our new year flips in January. So just keep that in mind for later. If we get into a discussion about gematria, you're going to need to remember that. But it says in this table, Israel will attack in Iran in 2015. Now, that doesn't seem outrageous that could happen. And this is not a prediction. And one thing that we make clear in the film is that we don't want to use the Torah code as a crystal ball, because we don't know what the flip we're doing yet. We could be wrong and mislead people, and we're not about to do that. So all we can do is say, well, is there a table with all of these words in it a priori, thought of ahead of time? Can we put these words in, attack Israel, Iran, and see what comes up? If it comes up this year, and all of those words appeared. Now, it could mean that people are talking about Israel attacking Iran this year. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It could just mean that we're talking about that, and that's true, because we've seen tables where, like on a great example, is the tables that were found on the year 2012, and one of those tables said, end of the world, all this stuff, in 2012. It was real specific. And we all discussed that. Why did it come up like that? And nothing happened in 2012. And then Professor Rips finds another one, which is in the film. It says 2012 canceled, which is really, everybody had to laugh really hard over that. But what we realized was that a lot of times the Torah codes seem to be reflecting the zeitgeist of the times, what people are talking about, what's in our media, what people are saying. And people were saying 2012 could be the end of the world.
Yep.
And that's what came up in the Torah codes.
Yep. We talked about it here.
Kind of interesting.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. So in keeping with that thought, if you scroll down to the next table on Artnell's website,
okay,
this is a really interesting table because it goes along with that whole thing about 2012, because I asked the professors, rabbis, about 2012, and they'd never heard of it the first time I asked them, because they're just looking about stuff about Israel. I said, yeah, but what about 2012? He goes, what's 2012? And so, the end of the world, the Mayan calendar, everybody thinks on December 21st, 2012, that something's going to happen. Well, Gladerson does this table, and his axis key word was change in the world, which is a full sentence with equidistant letter sequencing of the same skip all the way through. Change in the world. And on that same table, it says on the 10th of Tevet, which is a Hebrew calendar month, which to us is December the 22nd, in 5773, which is like, after, that's like 2013. So basically a year after when 2012 happens, there's supposed to be a change in the world. And if you think about it, a lot of crazy things have happened since then. The world didn't end, but
it has changed.
Been real shift in the way things are going on.
Yeah.
But, people are like killing Christians all over the world, and there's like all this anti-Semitism sprouting up from nowhere, and we have government surveillance just off the hook.
Right.
And Edward Snowden popped up. All these different things just kind of happened. We're becoming more aware of things, and then the UFO phenomena went totally off the hook. Since 2012, we've pretty much doubled the number of sightings of UFOs worldwide per month compared to previous years.
That's not all either. we have like a hotline. Well, we have a hotline number,
Right.
And actual evil is off the hook. I mean, we get calls, or Jeffrey gets calls on this phone from all over the country, and people are crying and begging for help. Like, something's standing in the corner staring at me, and I think it wants to kill me, and what do I do? Stuff like that.
Yeah, we get a lot of calls on demon possession, shadow people in homes. And like Alan said, it has been off the hook, and we've been helping a lot of people. But we have seen, though, that the supernatural is definitely taking over now.
Right.
And it's weird. I mean,
I would like to see a code. I would like to see if there's a code about that. Things on the rise.
Right.
I know it says it in the regular, the one everybody could read. Says that those days will be like that, but
right.
it would be interesting to see it say that and then have it overlaying over that. You know what I mean? Some of those predictions in Daniel or whatever.
I think that I tend to agree. I mean, there's been so many weird things happen. I mean, in a series that I'm working on with, some of you may know who Elam or Zulli is, but I've been working on directing a series that the two of us have been working on since 2010 called Watchers. And one of the topics in that series are the black-eyed children.
Wow.
And at first I was a little skeptical about it until I read David Weatherly's book about it, which was very factual and very well put together. And we reenacted one of the stories from that book in Watchers 5. But I told Terry, who was my co-producer on the Torah Codes film, I said, I'm working on this segment. I'm kind of excited because I want to do a dramatic reenactment of someone who's seen a black-eyed child, and she started screaming on the phone. And I said, Terry, what is it? She said, I was just talking to my friend who had just had that experience a week ago.
Wow.
And I said, you got to be joking. I mean, at this point, I'm really skeptical. And she goes, no. And I said, well, where does she live? She lives in Milwaukee. And I said, well, but she's going to be in Los Angeles next week. I mean, I'm going, now it's getting weirder. And I'm going, okay, would she agree to be interviewed? I'll ask her. So we had this woman came in who's in the film, and I shot her all over walking through Hollywood, and we sat down with her, and she related her story, which was textbook of what people had been telling David Weatherly. She had never seen the book. She had never heard of the black-eyed child phenomenon. And when we showed her the cover of the book, she shirked back and go, get it away from me. She was like terrified just looking at the artist conception because she'd had the real experience.
Wow.
And that just freaked me out. I'm going, here we're just doing a story about it, and here this woman shows up without me, again, doing anything.
Man.
Wow. Coincidence? I think not.
No, definitely not a coincidence. No. And the same thing happened to me with a guy that had an alien implant for Watcher 7. So these things do happen. It's not like I'm expecting them to happen. I don't even know they're going to happen, but when I need something, it just kind of comes.
Wow.
And I think that at that point, I'm kind of supposed to do something with this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, I'm not following through here. And we live in a very spiritual universe. I mean, there's stuff going on that we don't understand. There's stuff interdimensionally happening. I mean, just listen to anyone that's had a near-death experience, and they will basically convince you that there's a lot of stuff going on that we have no knowledge of here because we're sheltered from all of that.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
we feel the same way. Like, we started off, like researching and chasing the Bigfoots and taking UFO reports and going to haunted homes, and every time that we want to take it to a different level, or we decide, we're going to share this or we need that, these things just start like happening. Like we really don't have, we haven't chased anything yet. even all the way to what we're doing today, talking with you. I mean, we're not chasing these things. They're coming together.
To us, right? They're coming to us. Like Monty called me and said, "Hey, I have a friend, Richard Shaw, Torah Codes." I went, "What?" So we were just talking about that like a week before.
Yeah.
And I'm going, "Are you kidding me?"
Oh, that's weird.
And then I call Alan to tell him that we got you, and Alan was praying like crazy that we would be able to get you in L.A. And then I said, "Well, I got him," and he goes, "What?" And he's dancing all around the house. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's like that, Richard. That's what is happening to us right now, just like what's happening to you.
Yeah, it's like
I believe it's. I mean, this is my own personal opinion. I think that there's not much time left.
I'm
we don't have much time to fool around.
I agree with you.
And there's people that are going to get it, and then there's people that are going to make light of it and just kind of blow it off. Oh, this is more ghost stories. This is more about Bigfoot. You know, and they don't get that there's a lot of truth to this. And I was skeptical about Bigfoot too until I had long conversations with Ron Moorhead. It's like, okay, and then he gives me this digital audio file of him talking to a Bigfoot. It's like, okay. I mean, that's in Watchers 8. I mean, there's weird stuff going on.
Absolutely.
I guess what really, really freaked me out, this is really amazing, with Professor Rips, whose story is kind of in the film, but he's a brilliant scientist, brilliant mathematician. His expertise is in something called group theory, which is kind of a really gnarly subset of algebra. I wouldn't understand it if he explained it to me. But he teaches at Hebrew University. I mean, while he was in prison for protesting the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia on a piece of toilet paper using a pencil, he disproved the dimension subgroup conjecture, which was like a big theory from the West, and just in his own head in a prison cell said that's not right because it doesn't work that way.
That's
this
amazing.
is how brilliant Rips is.
That is brilliant.
And not only that, he's one of the humblest men I've ever met. And the first time I ever filmed him was like in 2008 or 9. This was at Professor Herlich's home. Rips just happened to be in the States, so I flew to meet him. And Professor Herlich leaves and goes, "Well, you guys have a good afternoon," and leaves me in his room with Professor Rips. And I was terrified. I really was. Much more than I am going on to speak to a lot of people, which I think is kind of fun now. But being in a room all by myself with Professor Rips, I'm going, what am I going to say to him? I mean, this guy's like a genius.
Yeah.
I really just didn't know, you know. And we had like, I don't know, maybe he remembers it too. He wrote me a really sweet letter afterwards, but I felt like I had some kind of God experience with him as we were just reading through these codes together. It felt like God was walking through the room with us while we were working, and we both kind of looked up, and both our eyes were tearing up, like we both knew there was something really cool going on. I'll never forget that.
That is good. That's
and so,
cool.
like the next day, I'm packing up my equipment to take it back to L.A., and I loaded up the car, my rental car, with all my stuff. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to put all this stuff in first, and then I'm going to go back for the tripod, which is the heaviest thing, and that way I can carry it and nothing else. And I hear these footsteps coming down. Professor Herlich has these wooden steps kind of that lead out onto a deck. And I look behind me, and there's Professor Rips carrying my tripod for me to the car. I'm just like, at that point, I just lost it. I can't believe this. And this is the kind of man he is.
That's pretty
so,
cool.
Very cool.
You know, very, very humble, incredibly brilliant, very God-fearing. He's just a real precious person. I don't know how else to say it but that.
Wow.
Well, we have one. There's like we have a chat on the live stream, and everybody's chatting along. And one of the things they're talking about, and a question came up, Have you heard of any codes about Nibiru, or however you say that?
Nibiru or Planet
the,
X?
The Planet X coming in?
Yes, we have. We have codes on Nibiru.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think we have it. I don't think it's written in the Hebrew as Planet X, although we probably need to start doing that again. This is flat. Thank you for bringing that up, because when I was talking to Rips on the phone when I was in Jerusalem last time, I said, look, and I didn't know how to approach him. I said, some of the stuff that I want to show you is because I'm anxious to see you again, and I have some really incredible stuff with me. One is I have a baby mummy skull that's elongated. It's 18 months old that I have a cast of that I want you to see that we found in Peru. And then I also have some videos that I got, some of them from Jaime Massa in Mexico City, who's an incredibly famous ufologist. I'm sure you know who he is.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And also some videos from Brazil of some UFO activity that's so off the hook weird that I couldn't. It was like I couldn't even believe what I was seeing. I said, I just want you to see this stuff because something's happening in our world. And he, all of a sudden, it's like the phone became electrified. I'd never heard Rips do this before. He goes, people have no concept of the supernatural things that are happening in this universe.
That's true.
and I just went, this is Professor Rips telling me this.
Wow.
Super serious Torah code mathematician. And then when I see him, I mean, he's still talking about this kind of thing. And he said, you know, when Immanuel Velikovsky wrote his book, Worlds in Collision, the only people that took it seriously were people like Albert Einstein, were the really smart people. The rest of the people criticized it and tried to punch holes through it, through his research. And one of the things out of that book, and this stems back to ancient Hebrew again, so I think I can take liberty just to share this one little thing, is that Velikovsky talked about getting oral tradition from the American Indians that were here back during the Exodus 3,000 years ago. Actually, the Torah was given 3,327 years ago this year.
Wow.
But when the Red Sea parted and Israel walked through, I was talking with Glayerson about that, and he said it never says the Red Sea parted. And I said, well, you know, according to Immanuel Velikovsky, the American Indian said that, and this was on the same date, because he could trace it back and find the same time that it happened when the Red Sea parted. American Indians were getting hit by 100-pound hailstones.
Whoa.
And they said the oceans stood up. And I'll never forget having read that.
Wow.
And Rabbi Gleason said, it doesn't say the Red Sea parted. In the original Hebrew, it says the waters parted. And since it's plural, that meant waters, all the waters.
Wow.
Worldwide. It was a worldwide event.
Wow.
Not just the Red Sea.
So like
then you
a
have to
planet
go,
coming through.
Well, the planet could have been a Nibiru thing. We don't know. It could have been a comet. Could have been something. But I believe the Earth's rotation was momentarily paused.
Wow.
Otherwise, the waters just didn't know how to flow. They were like confused for a while.
Man.
It could be a scientific explanation for what actually happened from the biblical account.
Yeah, Noah's Day, like what Jeff just said, the same thing, you know, something got really close and ripped, just what it said, it ripped the earth, right? Changed the whole planet completely.
And the question is, who told Noah to build?
Prepare.
Dum, bum, bum, bum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there again, where do we learn about Noah in the book of the Torah?
Right. That's right.
All right.
Man, that see now.
This is cool
See,
stuff.
now,
Yeah, I mean,
it would be interesting to find things in where they're talking about the flood, and then have it be dates today of something coming close near to rip the earth. You know what I mean? I mean, where it's like overlaid over that story. I mean, man, that is not coincidence.
I know a guy named Marshall Masters who's kind of like Mr. Planet X, and he's put up all kinds of videos on YouTube about Planet X. He doesn't always get it right, but sometimes he comes up with some really startling stuff. And he sent me this email the other day, and it was like some helicopter news crew was shooting the sky, and they were shooting like towards planet Venus,
Sacramento,
and it looked like it was like an eclipse going on of some sort. And they zoomed in on it, and I don't know what that is. It looked too big to be the planet Venus. I mean, there's some weird stuff going on right now.
Right.
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know what that was. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I saw it. And it was another planet basically covering up another planet, like it was an eclipse. But they were trying, the meteorologist was there, and he was saying, well, that's the planet, and wait a minute, that can't be happening. What is that? So, I saw that. And I believe that is like the first time they're saying that the media has actually come forth and says, wait a minute, that's not right. That is the planet that is not named. And that's what they were all freaking about, on the angers, and so well,
like Jeffrey here, they talk about the chemtrails, chemtrails. And then Jeff came up, everybody's like weather modification, they're changing the weather, which they could be doing. But then he says, what are they trying to cover up? Like, what are they trying to keep us from seeing? They cover the air with all these chemtrails and you can't see. What they're trying to cover up?
Yeah, what I have been realizing in the morning on my way to work, that the chemtrails that they are laying in the Sierra Mountains or over the Sierra Mountains are right when the sun is coming up, right around between 7 and 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. They're laying the chemtrails down on certain parts of the day, not, day after day after day after day. But I'm looking all over the skies of Central California, and there's no chemtrails to the west of us, to the south or to the north, but these chemtrails are only right in the line of sight for the sun for Central California. Like, are they trying to cover up something with these chemtrails? And I'm thinking maybe they're only doing it for the people in Central California, because we here at Paranormal Central are telling people to look up. And a lot of people are now looking up, and we've told people, go to the hardware store and buy welder's glasses so you can look at the sun and see what's around the sun. And you can do that, people. Go buy welder's glasses. They're not expensive at all. And I think that there is something right on the edge, and it's coming this way, Richard. I am serious. And I think that's part of what's going on right now with our military doing training exercises all over the place, and they're positioning military vehicles, and it seems like they're getting ready for something, man. I really do.
It could be. There's a lot of things we could theorize that are happening.
Yeah. Right.
And I also have a good friend, Dr. Brooks Agnew, who knew about the frequencies that HAARP can use to create earthquakes and all that kind of thing, and warned them at the time not to use those. And he has some theories about this too. But I mean, there's we're having all of the heavy metals put up in the atmosphere. Yes, it could be used to obscure our vision, but it can also be used to do something affecting our weather. I mean, we have very strange jet stream flows that are very unusual. I mean, the East Coast has been in a deep freeze, and still, they're having very weird weather patterns, while California is still really super dry. And then you'll see like some chemtrails put up, and then all of a sudden we get like a little rain. It's like somebody's messing with our weather, I really think.
Yeah.
I really do.
No, I totally believe you. I totally believe that the government is preventing California not to have rain, and I believe it's to get rid of the farmers, and to get food from other countries. That's what I'm so far. It's all about control, Richard. It's all about control, I think.
Me too.
If following the money is always the key.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. Well, let's continue on with these codes. So the one I have up right now, of the Mayan, are you done with that one, or?
Yeah, that's changing the world on the 23rd of December, the 22nd of December, the day after the day that we were all so worried about. But
okay.
I thought that was interesting. The next one's really, if you want to scroll up to the next table.
Okay, got it. Should be up now.
It was something that was really freaky because
there's a delay, so it should be coming up here pretty quick.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Remember when Netanyahu came in and did the thing in Congress and spoke and got standing ovations every few seconds?
Right.
Like, oh, finally. But Glaserson, even before that, decides he's going to do a table on Netanyahu. Now, this one, I kind of apologize over the quality of this table because at the time that I got it, Glaserson's computer was broken and I had to do a screenshot to basically get it. But we've since fixed that. I just have to redo the table. I haven't had time yet. But basically, it says Netanyahu in 5775, 2015, BB, which is the kind of the nickname for Benjamin, on the 26th of Adar, which is Adar, which is a calendar month in the Hebrew calendar, which is our March 17, which was the day of the election, by the way.
Wow.
Up in the right left-hand area there, it says will be elected. Now, this cable was found on February the 9th, over a month before the election occurred. And I knew about the table because Glaserson had told me about it. Meanwhile, what was our mainstream media telling us? Oh, it doesn't look like
he's going to win.
He's going to win.
Right.
It's really a close race. It could go any either way. Meanwhile, I had this table. I'm going, well, Torah codes kind of say other than that. And sure enough, I wasn't really too worried about it because I felt like the Torah codes were correct in this case. And he won by a landslide. And these other plain texts, they're okay. There's nothing really totally all that amazing about the plain text that was under this. Laws and judgment should do them in the land. And another one says, keep all my commandments all day and it will be good for you. These were just like plain texts that appeared underneath that section. I said, well, where is that, Glaserson? And he couldn't remember, so we looked it up, and it was, I think it's all in the book of Deuteronomy. But one of the verses, which he doesn't have listed in here yet, we really should recreate the table, but it was like the 30th verse. I think it was, what was it, Deuteronomy 4:30 maybe, but basically the essence of that verse said, when you have trouble in the latter days, and I said, well, that's the plain text that should be behind this, because then that's basically tagging Netanyahu in 2015 as the latter days. So I thought that was pretty cool. So
that is cool.
We're always just kind of trying to figure out, well, are we in the end of days, or is that just baloney? Or everyone always thinks we're in the end of days, and that never happened.
Right. Well, we thought that we thought 2012 was the end of days, also. So
it was the beginning. It was the beginning, according to to that.
Things are different now.
Yeah, they are. And
here's a really strange thing. If you want to go to the next picture, guys, when you can get around to doing that.
You can actually ask anyone, no matter what their religion or belief system or anything, whether they have one or not, and everyone will tell you something's up. Everyone across the board.
I think we can all kind of feel it.
Yeah.
Like it's not good.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so I got the table up with meteor.
Oh wait, show the other one first.
The picture itself?
Show just the picture. Just show the picture first.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Frame of
Yeah.
It says on the frame of the meteor in Chiblinsk.
Right. And
basically, you guys remember this, right? In 2013, there was this giant meteor that exploded in the air and shattered
window
1 million cubic feet of glass.
Right.
It was this really incredible loud thing, and so Glazerson thought, that's the picture that kind of made it all through there, on all the different media outlets and all over YouTube, and people that shot it, that lived there, posted it. And that's kind of like what it looked like. It was like this kind of double strand of like a comet trail, and it's really way high in the air, and it took a while for the sound to get to us.
Oh, wow.
Well, so Glazerson does a table. Now you can show the table.
Okay, got it up.
And it said meteor in Russia in 5773, which is 2013. And when he showed me the table, I thought, well, that's kind of a weird shape. And so I thought, well, let me get that image that I happen to have a copy of. And I just in Photoshop, I just supered it over the table that Glazerson gave me, and it was almost like the table was outlining the comet trail.
Right.
Wow.
That's cool.
It kind of does, huh?
Right.
That's amazing.
Now, I don't know. I mean, that was just, when I saw that, that's what it reminded me of. So
Sure.
whether this is significant or not, I'm certainly not saying it is, but it is weirdly coincidental.
Very cool.
It is. And it all aims down to like 2013. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is...
The next table is, we did a bunch of these. It was interesting because no one knows what we go through to do these films. It's just unbelievable sometimes. But there's differences of opinion that often arises between the various professors and rabbis on what should be in a table, and if it's significant, and if the p-value is posted so that people know what the probability is, and etc. So Glazerson had done a table about the death of the boys. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, last year there was a Hamas war with Israel. It started, I guess it was the month of July or so, before we left to go over there. And it went on for a long time, several months actually. And what people thought had set it off is that there were 3 Israeli kids that were kidnapped and disappeared and later to be found murdered.
Oh, wow.
And yet Israel didn't do anything. They didn't start a war. And it was right after this that Hamas started firing rockets from the Gaza Strip over into the populated areas in Israel. And so Glazerson did a table about the death of the boys, and so this started a small but friendly argument amongst all the rabbis and professors, because I thought I wanted to use that in my film because I thought it was just so specific. So all of them did tables on it. Professor Haralick did a couple. Art Levitt did a table. Dr. Rotenberg did one. Glazerson had already done a table about it, and so Professor Rips, who often does really phenomenal work in this area, did this table. And Art Levitt did the translation for me. But basically he found everything in like almost complete sentences, and that's Rips's trademark. And he does that on purpose to find the best meanings of the words so that people will know this isn't by chance. And he will go to extra length, extra extremes to do that. So it goes death of the boys, which is the axis keyword, which is what everything is hinging off of, that idea. Eyal, that was the name of one of the boys. In fact, the word Eyal is in there 3 times.
Wow.
And you look down at the bottom and it says Herbert Arnav. Well, what the heck is that? And that was the subsidiary of a city called Hebron, where the bodies were discovered. were discovered in Herbat Arnav. And a very chilling sentence is, "Look under me," like they discovered a body and found them stacked on top of each other. And it was like the secret clarified. And then at the top it says, "Killed my people." Now it's all in a sentence. So the Yao terrorist, the date and "killed my people" are all like in that overlapping bunch of words there. I mean, so it's a very complex and elaborate table with pretty much all the information about the three boys that were kidnapped and murdered. That's also in its work and film, but I just thought it was kind of amazing.
Yeah, it is. People are probably thinking, well, anybody can go and do something like this, and you've already talked about it. Pick a book, for example, and do the same thing, but you have figured out the odds in something like this occurring. And what we're looking at right now, is this the actual full page? It's not, is it, or is it?
The three boys table?
Right.
Yeah, that's just the way it was given to me. I haven't done anything to it. I mean, that's the way it was, and each of the rabbis or professors have a different way that they like to do searches.
Right.
Glazerson does it one way, and Professor Rotenberg likes to use a way that he calls best meetings or best pairings, he calls it. Basically, like, he wants to use words with the smallest skips so that they're going to be less apt to happen by chance. If you find your name in the Torah and it's every, 12,342 letters, maybe that's not all that significant. But if you find your name in the Torah and it's every 4 letters, then you don't even need a computer and you can find it.
Wow.
So that's what he and Glazerson try to look for. So, and then Rips tries to find things that are in parallel lines or in complete sentences, so people can't easily disprove it and say this is just baloney. No, because it's all like with the same ELS, equidistant letter sequencing skip. It reads an entire sentence. Now, so this is great you're bringing this up right now, guys, because the next frame on the Art Bell site is the Twin Towers table that Professor Rips found. And it has a probability of less than 1 in 10 million. And it has all of the keywords: Twin Towers, airplane, and attack. And basically you're looking at the entire table with all those words crammed into it. It was mostly found in a book of Numbers. And the way you can tell that, this was done using Professor Haralick's software. So if you look at this table, you'll see, like, off to the left, it'll say 4/19:22.
Right.
And on the left side column, then it says 4-20:01, 4-20:02, 4/20:03. So basically, this was found in the 4th book of the Torah, which is the book of Numbers. One letter was discovered in the 19th chapter, the 22nd verse, and the end of the table ends on the 20th chapter and the 12th verse. So basically, in the space of about 13 verses, all of these words, Twin Towers, airplane, and attack, were found clustered together. That's pretty weird. And the entire volume of the table is only 234 letters. That's not very many letters to show all of this.
Right.
Wow.
So this is all just a little part of a page that all of these are coming up as, because this is not the full page of where you found these words. Correct? Is what you're trying to say?
No, this is just like the computer created it's called a code cylinder, which is basically a spiral wrap of the words that you put in there, and it gives you a cylinder size and size of the table, and the computer kind of defines what the table is going to be. So basically, Professor Rips printed the entire book of numbers out on his computer in Hebrew with tractor feed paper. So it's like this one long thing, and it's like there's one little word about the Twin Towers, I don't know, in chapter 5 or something, but it didn't seem significant. Then he comes to chapter 20, and everything about the Twin Towers is in that one chapter. And that's just weird.
Yeah.
Right.
That's intentional.
Yeah, that's
so,
what I was trying to point out. It is written like how many years before? Okay, first it tells a coherent story, okay? And then it was written so many years ago, and then buried in the coherent story that you can read and make sense of is that. See, that blows me away.
And all of the words that were used as searches were pulled from newspapers. He got it right out of the Hebrew newspaper.
Wow.
So he used the spelling from the Hebrew newspaper as the basis to look for those words. Well, because I had George Norrie ask me, well, I can't believe it said airplane. Did it say flying machine? I said, no, it actually said airplane. He goes, well, how can that be? And I said, because it was in the newspaper, printed that way.
Wow.
And that's the way it was encoded.
Man.
Knowing that would know what an airplane would be like. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an ancient Hebrew phrase to come up in the Torah codes.
Man.
So then if you scroll down to the next page, this is really telling. People say, well, I could find that same table in Moby Dick or in War and Peace or any Hebrew encoded, non-encoded text, because the computer is so powerful nowadays, it will find words that you put in at random.
See, I seen
which
that.
Is true.
I seen a show on that, and I actually think they did disservice to this. Like, it made people poo-poo it or whatever you want to say. Like, they did it in Moby Dick, so there's nothing to that. And the people,
sure,
I think that was planned.
A statistician. Yeah, there's a statistician in Australia by the name of Brendan McKay, and he found all this stuff in Moby Dick, but he didn't really show us how he arrived at the words that he found.
Right. He works for the bad guy, and his whole thing was to make everyone not, care about this. Is what happened.
Well, Rips told me once, and sighed afterwards. He said, because of that, people can say codes can be found in any text.
Right.
And basically it just disproves the whole phenomenon in that one little sentence. So that's why we put this in the film to prove, well, you can find codes in any text. Yes, that's true. But how they come up is vastly different than they do in the Torah. So if you look at this one, this is a non-encoded monkey text. It's a random Hebrew text. Monkey text is they're monkeys on the keyboard typing it out. So there's nothing there. And it was run through a computer by Professor Harrelick at City U in New York. And there was something like 7,700 and some characters in that table. And all of the words are in there. But it's statistically insignificant. It's just like random words that anybody could find in any book. And then you go back to Rips's table, and there's 234 characters, and all of the words are clustered together. Now, that's intentional that way. So this is what we show people when they say that stuff to us.
Right.
And we did it more than once. This is just one of the examples.
Got it.
Yeah, like the odds of everything being all grouped up over an actual story that relates to the words that's all grouped up in the text,
right,
is so astronomical that it's like off the charts, like a number you can't even really wrap your mind around.
Supernatural.
Yeah, I think so. Or somebody that is so outside of time, it's unreal.
Right on.
Well, that's the thing. We have one view of time, but the smarter we get, we realize that maybe time isn't so linear.
Right.
And all this stuff's happening. Have you noticed, like, all of the research lately, and it talks about China's already working on extending life on human embryos?
Yeah. Oh, did you last night on Coast to Coast? They were talking about, and I know we won't talk about Coast to Coast, but last night their guest, they're talking about resetting. Like when you turn 60 years old, you can reset your life or whatever, and then live another 60 years up to or 30 years, and then reset, and you can live as high as 2,000 years or something like that. And they say that guy's alive today, or the people that are going to be able to do that are alive today. And probably not me. I'm too old.
This is stuff that goes back into biblical times.
Right.
And it started with Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. And right after that, everyone's speech was changed. So everybody was speaking a different language, and everyone was scattered across the face of the earth, it said. But it also, shortly thereafter, talked about that men's lives would be shortened. And I think it was, 125 years? I'm trying to remember the exact passage. But angels were involved.
Yeah.
And there was stuff going on, and men's life were shortened. Well, it's like, okay, we just blithely read this material and just go on to making lunch or whatever. It's like, okay, how did they do that?
Yeah,
and there's had to be some genetic manipulation going on.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember talking about that with Dr. Lear once. Both L.A. Marzulli and I were discussing this. We said, so, Roger, what do you think happened at the Tower of Babel? Since everybody's life was shortened and everybody's languages, well, then we have to ask, well, what language were we speaking before that happened? And did we even speak, or were we using telepathy? We don't know.
Whoa.
Wow. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I mean, that's, Roger was a lot of fun to talk to.
Right.
Even though some people thought he was,
no.
way out there.
Right.
Well, yeah,
but we had great discussions.
I read where when he was getting those alien abduction implants, yeah, and he would get them out, and then one day I was watching something somewhere, and somebody asked him, "What do you think they were doing? Those little implants. What were they for?" And he said, "Changing the DNA." That's what he thought.
Right.
Couldn't prove it, but that's what he thought.
Right.
They were.
We had asked him about that. In fact, LA thought that. Okay, so now we're getting into this is another topic, and I won't spend much time on it to burn up our time. But basically, it's like we constantly hear about the mark of the beast and all of that, and everybody's talking about it. Movies have been done on it. What is the mark and all of that, and why would people take the mark? And so then you have to, now, since we're much more technologically savvy than we were even 5 years ago.
Right.
Why would someone take the mark? Well, maybe they already have this technology and they're leaking it to the press so that we get the idea, wow, I could live to be 150 years old or maybe older. Wow. So then the press leaks another piece about DNA upgrades. And, say in a year from now, we've got it. We can live 500 years older.
Wow. And
then the dollar plummets. And there's no way to pay for anything. And the government comes back with a solution. Wow, guys, look, we got this great deal. We figured this out. We can give you this implant, and you can just wave your hand over a sensor, and it knows your bank information. You don't ever have to use a credit card again. No one can hack into your account ever again. No more of that will happen, and you'll live 500 years old.
Well, I remember when I was growing up, this conversation came up a lot, and it's like, if you want to eat, if you want to live, then you need this mark or like barcode on your wrist or on your hand in order to survive. That's the only way to do it. And now, all over Facebook, there's a company, I don't know if it's here in America or in another country, but they're making their employees put a chip underneath their skin, and that will pretty much allow them to enter the building and exit the building whenever they want. You got to wave their palm, over the sensor.
Yeah, they can buy lunch, all the whole thing.
Yeah.
Start their car.
And they're accepting it only because if you want this job, if you want to keep your job, then you have to put this little device or whatever it is, chip, inside your hand. And that's the way it's going to be. They're going to threaten you some ways of your survival. If you want to continue living, then you got to put this in there. So that's coming. I guarantee you that's just right around the corner.
It's really a form of enslavement. Is what it actually is.
Oh yeah.
It's like tagging cattle, and once you're tagged, that's pretty much it. In fact, if they're playing around with the human genome, then it may make you into something that's not the human that you once were, may be gone. And this is something that Elam or zulli has been saying for a long time. And I said, we got to be careful about saying something like that because that's mostly conjecture, and it still is. But the other day we were on a shoot together, and I said, I think you're right. Although I don't think it's going to be an alien implant, but I do think that we're close to where they can threaten us to get these things, and then it somehow does something to our humanity so that we're not the same people we once were. That's the real dangerous part of it, because if you read in way at the end of the New Testament, in the book of Revelation, it says, and people would seek death but could not find it.
Right.
Well,
how would that be?
If you remember when the Obamacare started to really take off, that's the way they wanted to give everybody the free insurance, that you had to get a chip placed in you. And that's how they were going. How you were going to be able to have all your medical records given to all the doctors. That's the way.
Yeah,
that's all in the Obamacare. That's all in there.
They have a barcode tattoo now for people with certain medical functions that they can scan their neck and know what they need in an emergency.
Whoa.
So all this technology is rapidly advancing, rapidly getting to that point. You just have to be aware of it and not be taken in by it. I think it's a good thing.
And with it, that technology is unlocking these codes. You know what I mean? I mean, it's all coming together, like all of it. Like the world's rocking and rolling, and the volcanoes are popping, and you know what I mean? And then the technology's going like crazy, and everybody's attached to a cell phone, almost like attached to it. You can know news from around the world, where before it would take days to get to you, and now you can see it at the instant, like check your Facebook.
Right.
I mean, and then at the same time, they're unlocking these codes that, I mean, it all is like coming together, like right now. Right now. All of it.
It's exciting. It's dangerous and exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
It's
I was telling
really something.
I was telling Jeffrey, I came in. I mean, I've been kind of researching all this stuff since in L.A. for a long time, because I know Ron Moorhead, and we've had him on the show a while back. But I came in with a little flash drive that we're fixing up for somebody. It's got videos and pictures and all kinds of information. I told him this is like coming in back in the days when I was a kid. They had the microchip, and they're trying to like steal it out of Russia. I go, here, I got it in my hand right here, and it's got like 5 gigabytes of information on it.
Right.
And even back then, you didn't even know what a gigabyte was.
Right. I mean, it's incredible. You can put 2 video clips on this little tiny thing that's about an inch long.
Right.
So it's incredible. There's something when I was looking at your video, you talked about, I don't know how to pronounce it, the EPHOD. EPHOD?
Oh, the EPHOD.
EPHOD. Explain that. What is that?
Sure. The ephod was an ancient device. It was part of the vestures of the high priest during the time of Moses. that he wore. It was basically a multi-part thing. I mean, you had like an apron that went over your shoulders. You had this Ummim and Thumim that held this breastplate on top of the apron, and the breastplate had stones in it, and there were 12 stones, one for each of the tribes of Israel. I mean, this stuff used to bore me to tears when I was in Sunday school. I was a little kid. Like, okay, so he wore this really strange thing and had all these jewels on it. Okay, cool. Next. And what they never told us in church was that the ephod lit up and that the high priest could ask questions and the ephod would light up in various ways to give him an answer. Did anyone ever tell you that stuff?
No,
I never heard that.
I never heard that either.
No.
That's the cool stuff that you never get to hear. And so the Jews have this phrase for it, for the Ummim and Thumim that were part of the ephod, called the complete light. And the Babylonians at the time knew that this thing worked and would fall prostrate in front of it because they thought it was like some kind of God power kind of deal. Now, when we hear about the tabernacle being built and all the details to it and the silver pots and the Holy of Holies and the Ark of the Covenant, all this stuff sounds like it's right out of an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, but if we really latch onto it now on your paranormal show here, instead of just sitting in a boring church meeting and go, okay, what is this really talking about? This was a plate that only worked on the breast of the designated high priest. If you took it off, it didn't work anymore. Whoa. If he put it on, he could ask the question, should we go to war or should we not go to war? And it would light up in a way where he could actually find out. And through those scriptures, it also talks about, and these devices were made with extreme cunning. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. Were they electronic in nature? I don't know.
Oh.
Were there magnets under there? I once asked Professor Harrell, like I said, because I know he's doing an experiment, which I won't talk about on the air yet.
Was it like
Wi-Fi? He's working on something, and Professor Harrell is he's done a lot of experiments with light-emitting diodes and things like that, and I go over to his house, and when I was there, he had like a work table full of stuff, a soldering iron and everything. So he's a creative guy. And I said, could the stones on the ephod that are described to us as precious stones, and they're basically described in Scripture, are they described that way again to give us an idea of what color they were, and maybe they weren't those stones at all. Maybe that was to describe what they look like, and could they have been crystals that responded to various stimuli in some way,
or LEDs?
Now,
and he said it very much could have been that way.
Wow.
Now, the reason why I brought this up is, and I think when we talked on the phone last time, Richard, and because I wanted to give you a little bit history of where I'm coming from. That I believe, that the movies and the TV shows that we watch nowadays, they all have hints in them for us. What you're talking about right now, and when I saw that on your DVD, it reminded me of the show The Land of the Lost. You remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm not well versed on it, but I do remember it, yeah.
Okay, well, inside the pylon, they had exactly what you're describing, a square of stones of different colors, and the high zulli stack, which is Enoch, was the only one who can activate it by touching these crystals, different colors, and I'm going, whoa. What you're describing to me is exactly coming out of the Land of the Lost series.
And the zulli stack were reptilians.
And the Chaka and all those are little Bigfoots.
Whoa.
But anyways, on what you were talking about, you need to go see that because that's going to blow your mind because exactly what you're talking about.
I will. I mean, I have discussions about these things with people, and they'll say, "Have you seen such and such a movie?" And so I'll go out and rent it and look at it afterwards. I've got Netflix, so I can get almost anything.
Right. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Netflix or YouTube. I'm pretty sure you can find some episodes. But
yeah,
what you're describing is exactly what the high priestess Enoch can only activate with his hands.
See now,
and open different dimensions and open wormholes and all that.
Okay, now that you said
the
that,
guy that wrote that was probably the show was probably Jewish.
You know what? We need to do some research and see if that's the case.
Well, now that you brought that up and you guys are like, I never ever thought like along the lines of what you guys are saying this could be. Is that really why we're over in Iraq? You know what I mean? Is that what the war was?
Oh.
I mean, that's where all that stuff was born or
right.
Is that what they're over there doing? And now the Muslims are over there, like, destroying everything?
Well, and L.A. Marzulli probably is up to, with Ron Moorhead, because they go out all over the place. And do you go with them, too, as well, Richard? When they go out, like...
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a show. I didn't go directly.
I want to go, man. Next time you guys go, I want to go.
The two of us go all over the world.
Right.
We have arguments what's going to be in the shows. And I say, well, you can't say it like that, L.A., or because it sounds like we're preaching at people. We don't want to do that. We just want to state the fact and let people make up their own mind.
Right.
And we do this all the time. And we're working on Watchers 9 right now. It's a really tough show. But, I mean, as soon as I'm able at liberty to tell you what it's about, I will.
Okay.
But
and I can't wait to buy those.
The biggest mystery to me on the Watchers series is how we're going to have enough money to do the next show.
You sound like us.
You sound like us right now. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the story of our lives.
I could do a lot more with a lot more money, so I have to do basically. There's no crew; it's just me in L.A.
Sure.
And I do everything.
Right.
So,
okay.
but I like that because it gives me the freedom to make the program I want to make without some sponsor stepping in and feeling uncomfortable over the truth we're trying to impart.
And that
we just want to tell the truth.
And that's the difficulties we have right now. Hoping that we're going to get a deal here soon, and if we do, if we sign on the dotted line, are they going to take control and not allow us to talk about what we talk about here? And it's the truth. That's what we want to get out. But that's going to be a toughie.
I mean, that's like the Torah Codes. It took me years to get the funding to do this, and finally, I did a talk about the Torah Code, a lecture about them in Orlando last year, and some guy came up to me the next day and said, "How much money do you need?"
Wow, that's cool.
I don't believe it anymore. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. I'll have to check my record. It's been a while since I've even added up the cost. I said, however, I will say that I've learned how to do documentaries for a fraction of the cost that they used to cost.
Right.
And that's true. And they still look pretty darn good.
Well,
and
you're going to become...
He agreed to fund it.
That's awesome. When you come down next month, because for those who don't know, Richard Shaw is going to be coming down to do an episode for TV here in Fresno. Where our studio is, don't freak out. Because like you said, nowadays you can shoot anywhere as long as if you know what you're doing.
Right.
And you have the right camera equipment and right people do the editing, then you can film anything and do it right.
Yeah, you can make it look like $1 million.
Exactly.
For like a couple of cents,
Well, I'm shooting everything on a DSLR camera and editing it on a Mac.
Wow.
And basically, that's when you see Watchers, that's how it's put together.
Right.
But what's weird is I used to have, for years, I had a big production company, and I had one in Atlanta for several years, and then we moved it to Hollywood. It was called Z Post, and then we made it into Z Productions because we were doing really as much production as we were post. And then in 2005, I opened up Pinlight because the partners I had with me at the time wanted to do something else. So I said, okay, great. So I'll open up my own company. So I had an Avid suite, if anyone knows what that is. And it was like a $120,000 Avid editing system.
Yeah.
And I had a Final Cut system, and I had, electric image animation and all that stuff. And now, in using like a desk and a couple HD monitors, I can crank out material that so far surpasses anything I could have done 10 years ago. It's just creepily weird. It's like, it's just that the technology has changed so much. I mean, that's why Hollywood went through a real financial disaster in 2009, because it was like the perfect storm. We had like a stock market failure, and then everybody lost their homes, and then everybody was almost out of a job in Hollywood because nobody was hardly shooting on film anymore. It just happened like suddenly.
Yeah.
And big companies like Pacific Title that had been in business for like 80 years and had millions of dollars in film equipment went bankrupt. And it was just like they couldn't turn on a dime that fast. It was just too hard. But now I think it had to happen, because now it's allowed. I mean, I heard the other day there's over 1 billion videos on YouTube. Isn't that incredible?
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Man, you know how much...
Everybody's shooting their stuff, and there's that many people know how to shoot digital film and upload it on the internet. And granted, some of it's just total junk, or it's stuff that they pulled off of television, and
right.
They're re-uploading it because you can't find it anywhere anymore, and people do that to watchers.
In the late in the late 80s,
problem we have.
Yeah, I bet, because there's no way you can prevent that. I mean, the quality, you can use your cell phone nowadays. Like that snapshot you took on the screen on one of the tables. I mean, that came out really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, in Watchers 4, which I think you said you saw, there's a scene with the graveyard for Howard Storm's near-death experience.
Oh man!
Right.
And I had this little. I had an iPhone 4S at the time, and I knew where there was this really cool graveyard in Long Beach that I used to drive by when I was a kid, and just was intrigued by all of the monuments there and stuff. So I walked in there with my iPhone and just shot video of it, and that's what's in Watchers 4. And because I had this little app for my iPhone that said it was called 8mm, and it puts like edge damage and scratches and stuff, but they look really perfect. I mean, they look like
spooky,
like real film.
Yeah.
I used to do that kind of effect with real films, and I put it over my video as an effect. Now it looks better if I just do it with the iPhone. If you're done with it, it's just like, what?
I got a question out of chat now. Now we've been talking about the Watchers. If they click on, I put a link for the Torah Codes on our website.
Right.
If they click on that, can
Sure.
they find the Watchers also right there?
Oh, you can if you go to my site, the Pinlight site.
I think that's where
And
I put
you
it, the
can find-
Pinlight.
Right.
Yeah, Pinlight.com also has information about Watchers.
Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, that website, guys, is hooked up to the link on our website. So just click on it, and it'll take you to Pinlight, and all that information will be on there.
I know there was I didn't have a long time, to look at it, but there was some videos on there,
Right.
that you could watch and
Right.
everything.
Sure.
It looked good. I wanted to sit and watch, but I didn't have time.
That's okay. There's a million things I guess, we're just kind of chewing the fat here, and I'm getting off topic.
No, that's good. Well, I mean, that was the last table that we just watched or looked at, right?
Yeah. If you want to go to the next one, we can. Rushing forward here.
I don't remember noticing another one. Which one?
The next table is it's actually on Art Bell's site. There's like a couple more.
Okay.
There's 2 more, and then
Oh.
we can talk about Gematria until we're running out of time here.
Okay. All right. Go for it. Let me put it in.
The next one is it's another 9/11 table, but it's in the film, and it's just an amazing table because the words September 11th, massacre, twins in towers, and then the sentence, the terror attack, were all found in the Torah Codes. There you go. And if you look at the lower left-hand where I've spotlighted it, the plain text that all of these words were found over says, and fell from the people this day about 3,000 men.
Whoa. That's about how many people perished on that day.
Yeah, that's just in the plain text under all the Twin Towers codes. That's also in the film.
Wow.
And then the next one is like, it's the Bin Laden table, and that's kind of the last one that we have up here.
Okay.
Which is one that basically Professor Rips found, but I think he had one other Torah code researcher that worked with him on it. But again, like Rips was looking for complete sentences, so he found a 29-letter text on Bin Laden, and it basically reads, "Destruction I will name you. Cursed is Bin Laden, and revenge belongs to the Messiah."
Wow. That's interesting. Like just one long straight line, it has all that. Like, what's the odds
all
of
that
that?
Information. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
And the Messiah, according to Glavison, can also be translated as the Anointed One. And the word paranormal comes up sometimes in the Torah Codes, and according to Glavison and Art Levitt, the word paranormal can also be translated in Hebrew as supernatural, which I think is kind of interesting.
Wow.
That is.
Just kind of
yeah.
little factoid there, but to me that's kind of important.
Absolutely it is.
People sometimes think, oh, it's paranormal, so it's ghosts and
Right.
shadow people, and they don't realize that the scriptures in the ancient Hebrew also pegs that as being supernatural. So that's just, I think, kind of a neat identifier.
Sure it is. And that's what we're trying to also to, the Bible's supernatural.
Right.
It is. I mean, you cannot say it isn't. So, people are digging what we're doing here with the Bible and religion. And we're getting more people who say yay, and not that many people are saying negative things to us about this.
Yeah, they're not trashing
They're
us.
not
too
trashing
bad.
us. And maybe they feel that God's going to strike them down if they do. But, and this is why we wanted you on, Richard, because you get it. You definitely get it. It's not about ghost and Bigfoot and UFOs. There's some crazy stuff that are happening now. Now let's get into a little bit like your personal thoughts on the future. I don't know how many other tables you have that you haven't told about. But what have you heard anything, or did you pull up anything, or had the rabbis pulled up anything that are telling us within next year something is definitely going to come up?
Well, yeah. I mean, this gets into another area called gematria, but if I could just quickly wedge something in, because I liked what you just said a second ago about how people are starting to get that this Bible being a supernatural book, if we could just divorce it from religion of man and say these are the words that are in this book, and it tells us that this stuff happened, of which we have no explanation for, but which we've got to try to understand now because our lives may depend on it. And if we look at it like that, it could be different. And like some of these things we need to start looking at as that's what the prophet was seeing happen, and we need to look at that literally instead of thinking it was an iconic thing that he's trying to explain. And I have this quote here that I just wanted to read you. It's basically Isaac Newton said, and quoting him, he says, "About the time of the end, a body of men will be raised up who will turn their attention to the prophecies and insist upon their literal interpretation in the midst of much clamor and opposition." And that's really kind of what's happening right now. We're smart enough now to go, wow, Ezekiel was describing a spaceship.
Right.
There were floating cities in the book of Deuteronomy. There were angels that appeared there was an angel that appeared in Peter's cell, and his shackles dropped off, and everybody went unconscious, and he walked out the front door. What does that remind you of? I mean, anyone that knows anything about alien abductions, even if you listen to Captain Robert Salus's own personal experience, I've talked to him and his wife. His wife went unconscious. He was lifted up out of his bed and went through the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, and he remembers some of it, but okay, who's doing that? We're thinking, okay, we've got good angels and bad angels. We call them angels. Angels is kind of a freaky term that people, like to apply to things, and it sounds like fairies and all these silly things. And like angels were messengers from that God would ask to do certain things, or the scriptures tell us that. Okay, so from time to time they've interacted with humanity. I think they're at it again. I mean, this is my personal, you're asking me for my personal opinions on this. This is what I think is about to happen again. I think we're going to start seeing supernatural stuff. And what's really weird, I saw a film the other day that said, it was interviewing this guy who was a Muslim cleric in Turkey. And he said, well, the Holy Quran tells us that in the end of days, that the jinn would be walking among us. And I went, whoa, that I'd never heard before. Now that means that entities would be walking the sidewalks along with us. I wondered if that might happen. I no longer think that's so crazy because of the things that are happening in the world. If we start seeing more UFOs than we're already seeing, and if they manifest, if there's some big war on the planet, and they go, we're coming down here to rescue you from all of this, it's going to be a very confusing time, and most people aren't going to have a clue what's happening.
Right.
They're going to think they're all good. I don't think they're going to be.
I think you're dead on. I actually have been warning, like, my friends and stuff like that. Like, if something breaks loose, and because these things are already sending messages through different groups. Like there's Facebook groups where they channel these aliens, right? And the aliens send messages to them, and it's actually been before Facebook, but they're saying that they're going to have to come and intervene because we're killing the planet and all this stuff. Well, these people believe it. Mm-hmm. They absolutely believe it, and it's going to be hard to deny it whenever they
right.
step foot down here or land.
Right.
But they're not going to be good. I absolutely believe that they're not going to be good at all, because in part of the scripture it says that if God didn't intervene, that it would deceive the elect, right? Everybody would be
the very elect would be deceived, right? And it's a massive global deception because people have never experienced anything like what they're about to see, and I think we're seeing glimpses of it now, but when it happens, people are going to be totally befuddled.
Yeah, a lot of them are going to be right on board. Like that movie Independence Day.
Right. And
they told the girl, she's like, got her sign. She goes, oh, you don't know what they're going to do. Don't go up there.
Right.
And she went up there anyways, and she's like, welcome, boom,
Exactly. And then on the other hand, you have Yeshua telling us in the New Testament that at this particular time, after period of tribulation, which seems like a brief period, but a really bad time of we don't know what's going to happen at that point. But after that, it's when people start disappearing. Now, what's really strange is that when you start reading the Old Testament, the Tanakh, that all of my Jewish rabbi friends know a lot better than I do. And they're talking about the resurrection of the dead. And this is back in the book of Daniel.
Right.
Now, this parallels what's happening in New Testament times, but they really aren't referring to that. And then Professor Rip sent me a Torah code table and a complete sentence in the Torah codes that says resurrection of the dead.
Whoa.
In one sentence, it all comes up. Another time he showed me a Torah code table that was a verse from Isaiah. And I said, what are you showing me here? I don't get this. He goes, oh, it's not at all uncommon for the Torah codes to quote the prophets. I said, but that happened 500 years after this book was written. And there's like other scriptures quoted in the Torah codes, that just boggles my mind when I see stuff like that. Like, how did that get in there? So we're seeing all this stuff. We can either be open to it or not. But to answer Jeffrey's question about what is coming up in the next years, there's a video that I just did. Rabbi Gledgeson, last time he came to L.A. was like 3 weeks ago, and he was bouncing off the wall to show me this thing. And I said, what is it? And he said, it's this Kabbalist passed away and gave this to his assistant to publish on the internet after his death. And I said, what is it? He says, the book of Gematria. Now, Gematria is the study of numbers on how they all work. I said, show it to me. And he printed it all out. He downloaded the whole book from the internet and printed it out. That's how tenacious Gledgeson is. And he started reading these lines of text. It's like the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the Gematria of that line added up to 776. And he read another line and added up to 776. Then he read another line, added up to 776. Finally, it said the return of the Messiah. This is all in Hebrew. And that phrase added up to 776. And I said, well, okay, well, that would mean that if it's 5776, that's next year. And he said, well, it's implied that it's the fifth millennia, the sixth millennia. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, we already know from other ancient mystical texts that the Messiah will arrive in the sixth millennia that we're living in now. So this is why I like hanging out with Rabbi Gledgeson, because he tells me this stuff that I've never read because it's in their Jewish mystical text.
Wow.
I mean, he's like reading the Midrash or some other ancient text, or even something out of the Kabbalah, or something that I may have not even looked at. And I'm not saying that we should all run out and study the Kabbalah or take that seriously, or study the Talmud or the Zohar or any of these other books, but he knows, because Gledgeson has studied this stuff his whole life. He's like a walking encyclopedia, so he can answer almost any question. And yet, what I love about him so much, he's almost like, I mean, the two of us are like little kids when we get together. It's like, oh, you're kidding me. What about that? And he goes, well, it could be because of such and such, and he's got an answer because he's studied this stuff. And all of these numbers are adding up to basically 5776. So then the last thing he showed me that really freaked me out, like he said, look here, the 1,335 days from the book of Daniel, chapter 12 of the book of Daniel. It talks about the time of the end for these days. Blessed is he who survives to the end of the 1,335 days. If you write out that number in Hebrew, 1335, and you come up with a number, I forget what it is. I think it's like 3380 or it's like 3,380 or something. It doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter. But then he said if you add up if you add up the written, say you wrote out the year 5776, it adds up to the same number as if you have the gematria for 1335.
Whoa.
And I said, that's just creepy weird.
Yeah.
How can that be?
Wow.
So it seems like something happens next year. Now, I'm not saying the Messiah is going to return, because none of us would say that, except a lot of things come up kind of to say that. Or maybe the 1,335 days start next year, and it's leading to the Messiah. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. But all I can say is we have gematria that's doing some stuff that I've never seen before. It's amazing. I mean, that video is up on the Into Darkness site if you want to look at it.
Cool.
And when he's coming back to LA like next week to meet with me again, I'm like, how are you coming back here? You just were here like last month. He really gets around, so maybe I'll have something more by then.
Where does he live?
Jerusalem.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I go, wow.
He does get around then.
I guess so.
Well,
He does.
That gematria numbers that he's coming up with, it actually would be verifying like what everybody thinks anyways of what time we're living in anyways. Because for me, I mean, I didn't grow up in church or nothing. I was like a bad boy. I mean, real bad. But only, came to the end of myself and had to turn to something, But only for me, it was when Israel becomes a nation, and then from there on, from that time on, it was saying, that generation's probably not going to pass away before he comes back. And all these things are going to happen, and you'll know by volcanoes and earthquakes and this and that, and and the codes, like knowledge will be increased, and things like what you're talking about in the, so I mean, everything's verifying itself. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And what's interesting is that first the knowledge shall be increased, and the 1,335 days are all come from the same chapter in the book of Daniel, chapter 12. So like, that's a real. I mean, if you don't want to read the whole Bible, just read like chapter 12 of the book of Daniel. It's pretty darn interesting. It's like, explain to me what that's all about, if you want to. I mean, that's like, there's mysteries in there that maybe we're going to see happen. Because
I can't wait.
all of the stuff that Iran is doing right now, that doesn't make sense. They believe that if they destroy Israel, that their Messiah will return. That's why they're doing all this crazy stuff. And so the whole world is kind of like teetering, waiting for it. They all know that a Messiah has to come back. It says it in all their ancient texts, and all over the world, it predicts such stuff. And it just feels like we're just on the cusp of all of these things happening.
Well, the Muslim, they're actually what's really funny about it is they say their Mahdi or whatever they call him. He's supposed to come back like right now too. I mean, they're waiting for him to come back. They even, a lot of them think he's here now. Like they had some video out where these dudes are beating themselves with they go through this ritual where they beat themselves up with these I don't know what they are, leather straps.
Oh sure, and there's the guy L that thinks he's the Messiah now.
Well, they had in this video, these guys are all beating themselves and singing they want the Mahdi to come back, and then all of a sudden this glowing looking thing, the man form, appears right in the middle of them, and he's doing the beat with his hand like that of the whip. They got music going and they're hitting themselves with the beat of the music or the drum.
Okay.
And he was like egging him on and going like using his hand, and nobody could see that with their eyes, but the camera picked it up. Several cameras, several different camera angles.
Okay.
And then what's his name? The one that said he wanted to see Israel wiped off the map. The little guy in Iran, I think he is.
What's his face? I know you're talking about.
He said that was the Mahdi or whatever, and now the spirit of the Mahdi's back, now on the earth. That means the end. That means they got to wipe out Israel. That's what he said.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
Well, now since it's just as soon as Iran gets a bomb,
yeah,
as soon as they get the nuclear bomb, it's all over.
Well, we're helping them. Our Muslim Bible by Torah Code president, gosh dang it.
Yeah. I agree. All right, we are about 7 minutes away, and that is the show. Richard,
it was so fun, man.
That was fun. I had a blast, and I
can't wait to sit and talk.
Yeah, well, you guys are coming down on Friday of that weekend, so definitely got to take you out to dinner.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, take you out to dinner, wine and dine. You get you drunk, and then we got a lot to talk about. And like I said, there's so much that we want to talk about on the Torah Codes visually that I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a 2-episode TV special for the Torah Codes. And I think that's what we're going to do because there's so much. We
sure
can't.
Is timely.
I mean, come on. Yeah. Tonight we talked 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Without no commercials. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously.
It went pretty quickly. I mean, I know I went off on some weird
No.
too,
that was awesome.
We like doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's off script here. We don't go by, notes and stuff like that. It's just about talking to each other and getting to know what you know and to bring it out so everybody can hear. And that's what this is all about. So, I can't wait again to meet you next month, actually, in about 3 weeks.
Yeah,
so,
and if you ever get anything
new, I really appreciate you having me on tonight. It was a lot of fun, Jeffrey, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
well, you get anything new going on, or you got another movie coming out, or anything like that, give us a call and we'll do it again.
Absolutely. If you want to break some news, you find a new table, you just give me a call and we'll get you on that radio show on a Sunday and we'll bring you up and you can tell the world about it. All right?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Awesome.
We have some stuff that's maybe breaking on Watchers 9.
Okay.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. So, all right, Richard, we're going to let you go. I want to appreciate it. Everybody who wants to go and purchase this, you go to our website, paranormalcentral.net, scroll down, you'll see the CD or DVD cover. Click on it, and I'll take you to Pinlight website, and you can go ahead and purchase that on there right now if you want. There's a lot of stuff on there that we did not talk about, you guys, because it's all about, you guys going to the DVD, purchasing it, and looking, because there's stuff that's going to blow you away on this thing.
Is there anything that you'd like to, part with, before we go off? Is there anything that you want to tell everybody or send people to?
Well, sure. I mean, it's just basically if you go to endtodarkness.com or to pinlight.com, either place, you can find out pretty much anything you need to know about it. We appreciate anyone that buys a copy because it helps us make more films like this. And I know that the stuff we're talking about, a lot of people are going to go, these guys are crazy. These are like wacky ufologists or something like that. It's really not that way at all. It's like the Torah Code is a bona fide, mathematically provable code. It's in there, and all I'm trying to do is just report on its existence. And if you're interested, then research it for yourself, because I think you'll find, like I did, that it's really fascinating stuff.
Awesome. All right, Richard. Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to be, I think I'm going to get hold of Terry here with the next couple of days for hotel situations, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Richard.
Thank you, sir.
You have a good night. We'll talk soon.
All right, you too.
Okay, see ya. Yeah.
That was so fun.
That was fun. Again, the Torah Codes, go get it, because I got mine, and I had to go watch it actually 3 times because there's something that I missed in there. Really cool stuff, you guys, and it's not coincidental. The stuff is not happening just because it's it's for a reason, and something's coming up here. I think
maybe we could share that little video that he sent us in the email now, right?
Yes. Well, it's on YouTube. He put it on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we'll go ahead and post that. For those who don't know, we have we're on Facebook. Okay, we have a Paranormal Central Facebook page. Go and like that, so that way we put stuff on there. You guys will be the first to get to hear about it. Okay. I also have a personal webpage, Jeffrey Gonzalez, or type in Sanger Paranormal. Sanger Paranormal. We also have a like page for that. That we don't really care about, but Alan Thomas has one. I have one, and our Paranormal Central like page as well. Now on live stream, for those who don't know what live stream is, and if you're on Art Bell, that's cool. But if you go to livestream.com, and if you're watching us right now on there, hit follow on there, because what might happen in the near future, and it probably will happen, is we'll end up doing some emergency shows, breakthrough shows that we have to do like ASAP. And when we make an event, it sends out email to all you guys through live stream to let you know that we're going to go on the air at a certain time. So go and follow us on live stream. If you're watching us on live stream, you'll see up there at the top on a green button, just hit follow, and boom, that's all you have to do. All right. And that's it. It's again, I want to thank you everybody who has been following us and been watching our shows. Word of mouth is getting out there. We have some exciting things happening to us within the next week, actually tonight and tomorrow. It's just nonstop for us here, and we want to bring you a killer show every Sunday, and that's what our intent is here. And I hope you guys enjoyed tonight, and we're going to bring you more of that. And again, paranormal, supernatural, it all goes together with religion and monsters and the boogeyman and all that, all right? Okay, so it's all interacted together. So I hope you don't take offense to what we talked about tonight, because, hey, this is supernatural stuff.
Yeah, I want to really quick, all you guys that's been sharing our links on YouTube and standing up for us when we're getting thrashed and stuff like that.
Right.
Man, I can't comment on all the reply to all the commenters, because they, believe it or not, everybody's like, they're commenting all over the board on all the videos, and I get like 1,000 something emails a month on that, but only I get to read them. That comes up in my emails, and I'll read them, and sometimes I'll go over there and I'll hit like or something. But I want to let you guys know I read them. You guys are great, absolutely wonderful. Thanks for sharing the videos. Thanks for commenting on them. Thanks for standing up for us, when people are bashing us.
Right.
I mean, that's
appreciate
so cool.
that a lot. Yeah. It just makes us want to go out and give you guys a better show the following week with cool subject matter. So, again, we'll be here next Sunday, same time, 5:00 p.m. West time. For all those that aren't Bell, I want to thank you for listening wherever you may be around the world. Just like live stream, I mean, we got fans all over the place, and it's increasing daily, and it's just boggling my mind. I cannot believe. So how much time we got, Alan, before music?
It says 4 minutes still.
Scroll down. You don't scroll down. Oh, there it is, right there.
Now.
All right, that's it. We're out of here, you guys. You guys take care. My name is Jeffrey Gonzalez with Alan Thomas, and I want to thank you, and we hope to see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.
You have been listening to Paranormal Central with Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas, broadcasting worldwide at paranormalcentral.net and on artbell.com. Stay tuned for next time. Remember to keep your eyes to the skies, and we hope you witness something you cannot explain. There?
Hi, Keith.
All right.
It shows you how to get the cookie cutter too. There's a website on Etsy where you can get it.
See, I thought
that's a lot of work.
I thought it went all the way around through the cake, like no matter where
you hide it in the cake, and one lucky person will get it.
Oh, I get it. All right.
See, I thought it was like all the way through the cake.
Exactly
right?
what I was thinking.
And I was
too.
saying, man, that was really
That's
smart.
exactly what I was thinking too. But no. Okay, right on.
No way.
No way. That's a lot of work. Well, you know what? Somebody needs to come out and invent something that could do that.
Well, I'm sure that there's some baker somewhere that could.
Oh, easy.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, not us easy. Sorry, but it's just those guys out there who do this for a living could figure something out.
Yeah. Right. One last thing. I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Mitchell Waite. He was 64. He was a very popular Bigfoot researcher in the Mogollon Rim area, and everybody knew him. He was on this was on every page.
Right.
I mean, so he had a big following. He really kept a handle on all the monsters up there. And it was April 19th, 2015. He had a massive heart attack in Mesa, Arizona, and served in the Air Force for 20 years. He was a major. Susan Farnsworth was taking care of all the reports there until he, in 2007, started seeing a bunch of sightings near his house, or seeing reports of the sightings near his house. So that's when he came onto the scene and was with her. And he owned Southwest Publications, where he authored several books along. And he had one with Susan Farnsworth. And he knew Travis Walton, David Paulides, Ben Harper from Fact or Fakes, and he was very popular. And here at Paranormal Central, we salute him.
Yeah, salute. And the guy was a good guy. I chatted with him on Facebook quite a bit.
He posted the day before he passed away. He was still posting. So
wow.
He had just a massive heart attack all of a sudden.
Wow. Yeah, that's usually how it gets you. You don't have no warning.
No warning at all.
Yeah.
Right.
No warning.
Right on. So, all right, Mr. Danny. So are you gonna be here next week?
I'll be here.
Right on.
I hope.
Right on, Danny.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Danny. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. We'll talk to you.
The world's still here. I'll be here.
Right on. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too right now. So right on. All right. See you, Danny.
Okay.
See ya.
Like if Yellowstone doesn't blow up or something.
You know what? Let's talk about that right now. Since before we get Richard Shaw on the phone, man, is stuff happening around the world or what, you guys? I'm serious. What the heck is going on? Before we bring Richard Shaw on, let's talk really quick about the training, the military training that's going on in 5 locations in 3 states, 4 states, 5 states.
Well,
how do you?
I was actually looking at a PDF file that shows the whole United States, the continent. Not Hawaii,
right,
and Alaska, but the proper states that we have right here. And they were some of them were red, and red meant it was unfriendlies. Okay. And that's how the military was going to conduct itself, as unfriendlies. California was blue, and it said that they were going to be mostly like in 5 states, but it actually is covering the whole United States, because they're going to fly planes, and they were sending this thing out to all the mayors and sheriffs and saying really they didn't have a choice. But only there's going to be noise, there's going to be military equipment on your streets, there's going to be military, a big presence for 3 months.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's figure out why that is happening right now. With the 5 Walmarts closing, everybody was alluding that has something to do with what's going on. And at this point in time, we don't know. For those, I'm pretty sure a lot of people already know about the 5 Walmarts closing down. One day, all of a sudden, 5 Walmarts close and pretty much fire everybody. They're giving them severance pay, I think, a couple of months.
Yeah.
But that's it. You need to find another job. Okay. So and the excuse they were giving were plumbing issues.
See, I worked for Walmart, paying my way through college, and I was on the fast track to management, and I quit because when I was in, the reason I even went, in one of my college classes, I was studying about Sam Walton. And, he called all his employees associates. and he made them business partners. You could buy stock, and he would match the stock. I mean, this dude was cool, you know. I mean, he would go around to all the Walmarts and meet them. He knew everybody by name, their first name. If he didn't, that's what, you know, you put your first name on there.
Right.
And, I mean, he would go around there. He was a nice guy. As soon as he died, it all of a sudden turned into evil Walmart.
Evil
right?
corporate.
Yeah. Oh, man. Bottom line driven. We used to get locked in and work off the clock for like 2 or 3 hours. I mean, it was totally illegal. But only they're so profit driven that closing these stores like that, it doesn't make sense. I mean, the managers and everybody in that store, every morning or every pre-shift, everyone gets told about the numbers of the store. Did you beat yesterday? Did you beat last month? And how did you do stacked up against last year?
So
right?
obviously, if that was the case, then they would, if the numbers would have came out showing really bad, they would all have known.
Right.
So it didn't seem like that at all.
In fact, you would get in trouble. You would get in trouble if you didn't beat last year.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was the big goal. You had to beat the numbers for last year. So, I mean, everybody should have known something was going on, even if it was a plumbing problem in those meetings before you start your shift. That should have came out, right?
That,
I mean,
that makes sense.
this whole thing doesn't make sense.
Welcome to Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from Central California with your hosts Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas. Broadcasting video worldwide at ParanormalCentral.net and broadcasting audio on the Dark Matter Network at ArtBell.com. Are you ready to witness something you cannot explain?
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from the bottom right hand corner of the Nevada Triangle in a city called Fresno, California. I am your host, my name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. To my right, I have my co-host Alan Thomas.
Hi everyone.
I want to thank you for showing up tonight wherever you may be. We are broadcasting HD quality video worldwide at ParanormalCentral.net on the live stream network. And we are also broadcasting HD audio through the Dark Matter Network on artbell.com. Yeah, you heard me right. Artbell.com is carrying our signal worldwide as well. So we got the best of both worlds here wherever you may be. Thank you for showing up. We have another great show tonight for you. We've been wanting to get this guy on for a long time. And as you guys know, we talk about everything here. When it comes to paranormal, we think this subject is right up there. So we hope you enjoy it. And for those who don't believe in what we talk about on this particular subject coming up, I hope you don't get offended. But you know what? The stuff is really happening. We have Richard Shaw, the director and the producer for the film The Torah Codes. And we're going to talk about foreseeing the future, what's coming up in the near future. Definitely like real close, like next year, man. This is going to be scary and good stuff at the same time. So, sit back. I hope you are comfortable wherever you may be. Make sure you go to the refrigerator and get yourself an ice cold whatever. And get ready because we're going to have some fun tonight. My name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. I am your host. I am also the founder of a group called the Sanger Paranormal Society. Have been investigating the paranormal going on, over 13 years. And, we're just not talk show hosts here. We also go out there and investigate the paranormal. So we kind of know what we're talking about a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So I hope you take that into consideration when we are here. And because, a lot of people like what we're doing here. And we're talking about subjects that other shows don't want to touch. And that's what we're going to keep doing here because I think you guys need to know everything that's going out there in the world. And this is the show that you're going to get it from. So I want to thank you again for showing up wherever you may be.
This is actually what we're going to talk about tonight is really not talked about. I mean, I think I seen maybe one History Channel show and they kind of were trying to debunk it,
Right.
Like make it say like it's not real, but it's real.
Oh yeah, it's real.
Just like a ghost and all the other stuff.
So what are the Torah codes? We're gonna talk about. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna say the word, and I hope it does, people don't freak out and run out of the house and go ah, because this is gonna blow people away, and I hope that this show tonight is going to change some minds out there about the Bible. Silence. Oh my God. Yes, the Bible. We're going to talk. What the heck is it? Oh, that's you. Lower that down. That's you.
Oh, it is.
Rookie move on Alan's part. Got the volume there. Hello. Turn on the volume. So Alan just turned on the iPad, and there you go. So you have to probably take it out of the case. So anyways, we're gonna call Richard Shaw right around 5:30, and then we're gonna have him on for pretty much until our voices can't talk anymore, because the Torah codes include everything we talk about here, and I mean UFOs, conspiracy theories, all that great stuff, and we're gonna basically get into it even probably deeper than the Torah code. So we're going to basically tear apart Richard's mind a little bit and get into what he believes as well. And I think he believes sort of kind of what we believe here. So I can't wait for that. But as you know, before every show starts, we get the Bigfoot Report. Danny Valderrama is our Bigfoot reporter. And he knows just about everything you want to know about Bigfoot. And we're going to call him up, and he's going to give us the 2 cents of what's been going on around the world and in America on Bigfoot sightings and Bigfoot news, and a little bit of cryptozoology as well thrown in there too. So we're going to go ahead and call him right now, and we're going to get what's going on with Bigfoot. So let me just go ahead and get Danny on the phone now. Emerald's not here. I know. So I don't know what's up with Emerald, but she said she couldn't make it today. So we're doing everything ourselves. Hey.
Hello?
Stop talking to yourself.
Man, I was talking to you. Talk a lot.
Do I talk a lot? That's what my wife says. Shut up.
You didn't turn on the monitor behind you.
You know what? We're having problems with that monitor.
You could turn me on. Oh,
for some reason,
it keeps going
off. It keeps going off. And
wow.
I don't know why. I mean, the power's
Too much
on.
stuff plugged in.
I don't know. Everything's plugged in just like we usually have it, man. And it is not. I mean, it comes on for like 5 or 10 seconds, then boop, it goes off. So I don't know. So we're gonna have to. I mean, we haven't touched anything.
No.
You know what? We just have so much electronics in this place. It's like I don't know if the power consumption is low on that TV, maybe, and that's what it is. But I don't know. So, anyways, all right, Danny, what's going on?
Chat says it's time to rock.
Time to rock. That's what I'm talking about. So you took your
wife.
wife.
T-shirts too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So you took your wife out last night
for her birthday.
For her birthday, right? What'd you get her?
Yeah, she's like 90 now.
Ooh, and you cut
I
off.
give her a bad time.
And what'd you get for her birthday?
Clothes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, all right. And
that always works.
and-
Jewelry, clothes, makeup.
well, you did get her.
Was.
Well, you did get her diamonds for the 25th anniversary, right?
Of course.
yeah.
Right. That's not what she told me. Boo. All right.
It was zirconium.
Really busted. Okay. So, ladies
Ready?
and gentlemen, Mr. Danny Veldrum sent me over some pictures, and we're going to view them on the screen in a little bit. And for all those who are listening to us at artbell.com on the Dark Matter Network, the pictures right now are on the home page marked Bigfoot Report Paranormal Central and today's date. So you can follow us just like we're going to be doing right now on the screen. And I am going to go to the screen right now, and we're going to go ahead and show what Danny sent over. Okay, so Mr. Danny Veldrum, I got picture number 1 up. And
All right.
you are a
Picture
go.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, I knew you were going
This
to
was
say
on
that.
the Non-Human Rights Project.org page, and this was from Monday, April 20th. And it's a story that keeps changing by the minute. So it's the first time in history that a judge has recognized 2 chimpanzees as legal persons, granting them the writ of habeas corpus. And that the order means that it commands the individual or government office who has restrained another to produce the person at a certain time and place, so that the court can determine the legality of their custody. And they need to, when the people show up, they need to justify the prisoner's detention, or the court may order that they be released. So the chimps are non-human animals, but in order for this to happen, they need to be declared human. So these 2 chimps, Hercules and Leo, they're being used right now for biomedical experimentation at Stony Brook University in Long Island, New York. And that study, they says, they're conducting is the evolution of human bipedalism. So the case was brought forward by the Non-Human Rights Project, and it started in 2013, and it's still going on. And every court that they've gone in front of has denied their requests, and until this one on Monday. And the Supreme Court Justice Barbara Jaffe issued an order on behalf of the 2 chimpanzees. But under the New York state law, only legal persons have the order may have the order to show cause in the writ of habeas corpus issued on his or her behalf. And it's a 2-step process. The judge orders the order, issues the order, and then the Non-Human Rights Project has to serve Stony Brook, and then Stony Brook has to appear in court and has to show why they're holding them and what experiments they're doing on them. And then the court will decide. And the hearing was scheduled for May 6th. And it's a Non-Human Rights Project. And they're asking that the 2 chimpanzees be freed. And they want them to go to a sanctuary in Fort Lauderdale. Fort Pierre, Florida. So this has been going on for a while. It's been denied. It's just blowing everybody's mind that the judge has done this. He declared them human. And these people are claiming that the reason they are human is because the chimps were too intelligent. They're self-aware, emotionally complex, and to be detained in captivity is cruel to them because they know what's going on.
Okay,
Well,
so
I want to hear that. I want to hear it in their own words.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. They sometimes you have to be up there and you have to complain and tell them why. The person being held has to be able to tell them why.
Right.
In some cases, and I don't know if they'd be able to do that.
Nope.
But the whole case has opened a big can of worms.
Right.
And they may start if this one is allowed, they may start having all kinds of cases being tied up in the courts for all animals, not just the chimpanzees, but Bigfoot and elephants. And
well, that's where I was going with this, with Bigfoot.
Well, this whole thing sounds like a bunch of monkey business.
Yeah. Well, the next day, they're saying that this came from.
Okay.
So they're saying there really is no breakthrough.
Right.
It's just the brown bear that's always up there. And the second claim that came out that Steve Culls found was that when he released his book and the claims inside of his books of finding an ape man that's still living and all that stuff, he referenced a research facility, the Institute of Human Genetics of Wolfson College in Oxford, and his colleagues started calling him on this, saying, hey, that place doesn't exist. So he had to come out and say that this place actually is mythical. It doesn't exist. So right now, people are saying that he has zero credibility.
Wow. Yeah. You know, if any scientist, and that's why you have scientists who don't even want to touch the Bigfoot DNA, don't even want to go there, because if they screw up, like Psych just did, their name is mud. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And if you are trying to, you know, prove the existence of a non-existent animal like, you know, Bigfoot, then you're going to get criticized upon your peers, and that's just the way it goes. So that's why no one wants to touch it.
He was competing against Melba
at
the time, so I think he just may have rushed it.
Okay.
Man.
Find the correct conclusions.
Well, she supposedly has like 3 genomes, right? Completely all the way through, and they say Bigfoot, not bear.
Well,
and he says she doesn't know what she's talking about or something like that. I think he doesn't want it to be a Bigfoot.
Right, because that's just going to basically screw all the scientists. I mean, they're going to be just blown away. I mean, and yeah, Melba, for one thing, doesn't want us to kill a Bigfoot. She came out and said.
Yeah, that's right.
She came out and said, Paranormal Central, absolutely ridiculous. How dare you try to kill a Bigfoot? So, you know, she is not on our side when it comes to proving the existence. Obviously, she thinks she has what it takes, but we need a body. It's as simple as that. So, okay. All right, what's next, Danny?
All right, the next one has 2 pictures. It's from September of 2014. It's actually a video, and it's been on all the Bigfoot pages this week. It's a video of a real estate place selling a piece of land, 31 acres in Golden, Colorado, in a place called Cold Creek Canyon. And people are seeing a Bigfoot in this video. I did post the video onto the Paranormal Central page, so everybody can take a look for themselves. And just go down to that little circle at the bottom, that little wheel, and click on 1080p so you can get the clearest picture of it. And about the 2-minute mark, you'll see something in the background. It's walking. It's a shadow or a silhouette. Everybody's seeing Bigfoot lately.
Right.
And you can see this thing slowly walking, and it sees the camera, and it stops behind a tree or a stump. And it's on the screen for maybe about 3 seconds. But if you look closely, you can see this thing has its hand up by its mouth when it first appears, and then the hand comes down and is walking. And just before it stops, you can see what appeared to be white shoes on it.
Oh, really?
There's something really white by its feet.
Well, I'm looking at that too, and I see right here what looks like to be a tree or an old.
Yeah, I tried to get a picture of the shoe on there, but it wouldn't stop exactly where I needed it to stop, and that was the closest I could see it.
Okay,
you can see a little piece of the white down at the bottom, but
I'm looking at and I'm looking at the white that you're probably visually looking at too as well, but I see that white look like it's coming off of a tree, old some leaves, some white leaves.
Yeah, but if you watch the video, you can see the white, like a shoe lift up and then walk away.
All right, so then I'm gonna
definitely see the shoe.
Okay, let's go.
It's definitely bipedal. It's all one color.
Right.
It's a dark figure in the woods. I can see why people think it is, but with the white shoe and the stride's not right.
Yeah.
And
I to me it looks like it has a coat on right here. See that?
Yeah, you can see that straight line.
Yeah, a straight line at the very bottom, like it has a jacket
or something. That could be a track out there or a walkway or
So
the cameraman may have taken somebody out there, and it could be walking the perimeter of the 31 acres there. You know,
right.
I don't see a Bigfoot.
No,
and the people that put up this picture, Buyers Film Company, they have no comment about it. They didn't see it when they first did the clip, and people are asking on their on the YouTube channel, and they haven't answered anybody yet. Say, hey, did you see that in the background? Is that Bigfoot?
Why don't they just come out and say, you know what, that was one of our guys just walking out there in the perimeter? That's all they got to say. That's all they got to say. But you know what? They're going to take it for what it's worth and ride this out. Because if it is a Bigfoot, I mean, if they want us to think it's a Bigfoot, then some nutcase will go buy the property just because.
And the property has been sold. It says
And
right on the front there.
There you go.
Property sold.
Well,
Awfully quick.
you put that video on Paranormal Central Facebook. Yeah. I could take it off and I can slow it down and enlarge it and go frame by frame, and maybe I could pull it out.
Yeah, you should be able to see the white shoe.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it and we'll see. And if I get anything next week, we'll have something. If not, if we don't talk about it ever again, I didn't get nothing.
Right, you get nothing. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, Alan's gonna try it out. See what happens. So, okay. Next is now you're making me hungry.
How did they do that, man? That is so cool.
Nerdist.com is the page, and it was everywhere too. This one was the Bigfoot bunt cake, and I put the recipe. I found the recipe online. It's on the Bigfoot Paranormal Central page, so everybody can make their own Bigfoot cake. You make a chocolate cake, and you get the Bigfoot-shaped cookie cutter. You cut out the chocolate Bigfoot, and you drop them in the cake. April 21st, under probably heavy pressure, I'm sure, and other judges probably contacting her saying, "What are you doing?" The judge amended the court order and removed their writ of habeas corpus. So it doesn't dismiss the case. It just means the court hasn't decided on whether these two will be treated as legal persons yet. They can still hear the case without deciding that. And the case has been rescheduled to May 27th now at 10:30 a.m. the New York County Supreme Court, and that is open to the public.
Jeez,
so it'd be interesting to see what's going to go on with that one.
Okay, that one's
that sounds like so dumb. I mean, come on.
It's going to get a lot of animals freed if they do go through with it.
Right.
Like when the monkey's in there, can he say that he has to go do some monkey business? He's been sitting there for an hour in court. He doesn't really know what's going on. Hey, I gotta go.
Right. I got a date.
Yeah. Well, if they can't speak, then
that should disqualify it right there.
Wow. Okay. Well,
there's the second picture. It's just them. It looks like they're huddled around an iPhone, but it's actually a piece of bread.
iPhone.
Watching what's going on.
I was going to say, where did you get the iPhone from?
They were texting the results.
If they're declared legal persons, they're eligible to get an iPhone.
I guess.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And government assistance.
No, the Obamacare. Oops, didn't even mean to go there. Okay. All right, let's go to the next picture that you sent over, and that's picture number 3. We've got a footprint. Whose footprint is that?
This is one picture. It was posted on the Mugion Monster Arizona Bigfoot page, and it was posted yesterday by Jameek Austin. And this happened near Tuliak, Alaska, and it was 2 Bigfoot spotted, an adult and a juvenile. And 2 children were the ones that were witnessing it. And they watched them, and they watched them take off, and then they went over there, and the evidence they collected was scat, fur, and that picture that they have, that's one of the kids' foot. That's probably the juvenile, because it doesn't seem like it's a very big foot if that's a little kid's foot next to it. And he posted on there that they're looking for this place is where they saw him was way out there in the middle of nowhere, and they're looking for a way to get the evidence to someone to analyze it.
So they pretty much got what, poop, right?
The scat, fur, and the footprint there.
Poop. Now people know what poop is.
Yeah. So they said the fur smelled so bad that they couldn't keep it in the house. They had to keep it outside, way away from the house.
Really?
So.
And they're
looking to get it tested. It just happened yesterday. So.
Wow. And a lot of reports come in say that they can smell this thing, whatever it is, a long ways. Because
it was right by their house.
It was way away from their house.
Oh, okay.
It didn't say exactly where. Just Tuliak, Alaska, and it doesn't say out where, but it just says that place is the area that they live in is way out there.
Wow.
It didn't say it was near their house. Pretty weird.
Pretty weird. Well, there's a footprint. I mean, that looks pretty darn good. I
don't see 5 toes, but it might be that the ground is too hard.
Yeah. True. Very true. So, okay. All right. The next one, we're going to, Professor.
Next one is 3 pictures.
Okay.
It's from Steve Coles. He also did this one on April 21st. It's from his Squatch Detective blog. And he says the psych study has recent updates, and people aren't hearing about it because nobody's reporting on it. He says the Sykes, the first picture that you have is a picture of Sykes, and he did this study back in probably the middle of last year.
Right.
And he said that his research on it said that the Yeti was actually a fossil polar bear. Well, in a letter that he wrote to the Royal Society Publishing Organization, Sykes admitted that he had made a mistake by stating that their gene bank search was an error, and alluding that their disclosure was to be a modern polar bear.
Wow.
So the next picture you have is a picture of all the samples that they had and the results for all of them. And in the middle it says possible Bigfoot or Yeti, and then at the very end it'll show what the actual results came back as, and it's cow, bear, everything, but none of them are Bigfoot or Yeti.
You know, I wonder. We need a body.
Yep.
We need a body.
A lot of people were saying that on there.
Really?
The only way to do it is with a body.
With a body. Wow. Well, I wonder who started that. Okay.
We almost got arrested for it.
And you know what?
Gene St. Jean said that too. We need a body, either dead or alive.
Gene who? Oh, Gene St. Jean. Yeah, absolutely we do. You know, we need a body, and we need to kill one. Just don't go to Colorado to do it. All right, I'm telling you right now. And if you
don't even really need to go to the mountains.
Yeah. You know, if you go
actually, if we send, maybe we can like have Danny deliver a package just at the right place down here to the oranges, and maybe just out of
run them over.
Yeah, that's right. You could just hit them, and
See,
we could call it an accident.
You even knew what we were going to talk about.
Yeah,
that's what you always say.
You know.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the UPS truck would take it out.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd probably get Danny fired too. So, and then
get him a new truck.
And then this
answer with these testings, like he did, it has to be replicated by peer review. So the samples were tested by the Smithsonian and by the University of Kansas scientists, and their conclusions were that there was nothing more than a brown bear. And it says their conclusion that the person, there is no reason to believe that these two samples came from anything other than brown bears. And that's the third picture, because it's a Himalayan brown bear.